And I also directed the committee of legal and parliamentary to bring the bill, the legal aid bill. I have not yet heard from these two committees. It is only legal that has written asking for an extension, but we are giving an extension for only 10 days. We want these bills in the House. Madam Gender.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. We are most obliged, Madam Speaker, that you have extended 10 days because our hiccup came from the recess, but we are very pleased that and pleasured that you have extended 10 days to us. We shall be ready by that time, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. And remember, members, we are working as per the rules. Rule 1292 requires that the chair must bring the bill within a specified period of time. And since we have extended by 10 days, we will be glad to receive the bills in this House. And as I said before, our performance will only be determined by what we do and not what we say. Honorable members, yesterday, the media was awash with the reports of medical interns in government hospitals that had gone on strike because of delayed payment. The timing of this strike is a worrying timing, especially with the outbreak of Ebola, and not only Ebola, with all the other sicknesses. So I request the minister and government to ensure that we see how we can solve this problem so that we have the medics do their work without any interruption. So we'll ask the Minister of Health to come and update this House on how far, the minister is here, how far you've gone with the issue of the strike and whether it is true that the strike is on. Because you find in most cases, some people write anything. So we need, you will give us an update after my communication. Honorable members, our own national netball team, the She Cranes, emerged number 5 over the first 5 World Netball Championship in New Zealand. We really want to congratulate them. During this tournament, our gallant girls humbled the whole world with the netball and became the first, and against Australia of 32-30. Our own Mary Nuba was voted the best shooter in the world. I would like formally to recognize the team for their exceptional performance. And we urge government to accord sports more resources that was given. It's so disappointing that much as this House did the appropriation, this House gave sports money, this House ring-fenced money that was going to sports. The money is not released as per what this House gave. And when you look at sports, it is only sports that does not know political affiliation, religious affiliation. It is a very good tool for mobilization. It is the best thing for tourism. It is better than nyege. So when we have a sports team that is doing wonders, then you know the country is being sold. Somebody somewhere is talking, where is Uganda? Even those who don't know Uganda have known Uganda, that Uganda is best at this. It doesn't matter whether you belong to FDC, NRM, or whichever. But what matters is it is only sports that brings everybody together. And we want to thank our girls and congratulate them and congratulate the country. And as we go still for budgeting, we need to make priority on sports. And we even have these days, we have girls football. As women, we should support our girls. Honorable members, yesterday, of course, we've seen all that is happening on the strike, and I don't know what the minister has to say about it. And remember, you said you're going to pay scientists a lot of money, and I don't know what is happening with the scientists. Actually, I was about to change and go back to school and do science. So we'll want to hear from you. We are all stakeholders. We feel bad when our medics go on strike, but all the same, we commend you for giving them an enabling environment for them to work, but they need to be paid for them to be able to work. When you look at what is happening with Ebola, most of the people who have succumbed today to Ebola are medics. So they need to be motivated to do whatever they are doing. I want to thank you so much. We'll look at matters of national importance if there's no reaction. I was checking the other side whether Honorable Semuju is around. Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also want to join you and join colleagues in congratulating our netball team for the performance that they have exhibited. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you in particular for promoting sports and for supporting various endeavors in seeing that our country is marketed outside. Madam Speaker, you will recall that you supported a team that traveled to Spain for showcase games, football showcase games. And I also want to inform you and the country at large that of the boys who traveled to Spain, we now have 2 who are playing in Scotland in first division teams. And as I speak now, 6 are traveling to Spain again very soon. Their visas are being processed. That is 1 year visas are being processed for them to go and play there, play in Spain with the selected clubs that have accepted to sign them. And just today, I have received another request from the English Premier League clubs that have requested for 3 boys who are going to also showcase there for opportunities that this country has. So when it comes to sports, Madam Speaker, really, I want to thank you and thank the House that we must continue to support sports, promote the girls, promote the boys, and we see this country getting to the roof. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable Silvani.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I also want to add my voice in applauding you. You are a Speaker of Parliament, but you have a football team of ladies. I always see you in Ginger boosting that team. I want to add my voice in applauding you.
I can officially say I have Kampala Queens.
That one. That is the team for the Right Honorable Speaker. I wanted to applaud you on that. Right Honorable Speaker, I felt a lot of pain. I was so excited at the same time. So it was both happiness and pain. That Right Honorable Speaker, when I saw the performance of our national netball team in the world and what they showed in the world, Right Honorable, it showed that we have talent in this country. However, Right Honorable Speaker, we always pass budgets, and especially the budget for sports, we always ring fence. And if I remember very well, in the last budgeting cycle, we ring fenced the money for the sports associations of this country and for the different sports activities, Right Honorable Speaker. However, what is saddening, Right Honorable Speaker, is that the Minister of Finance has adamantly refused to support the sports fraternity. Right Honorable Speaker, sports is the only place where you will not find NOP, NRM, opposition, black, yellow, red. You will find a unifying factor. And Right Honorable Speaker, I wanted to seek your guidance. If it would not be right for us to invite the minister again for the fourth time to come and commit himself here on the floor of Parliament, that is going to give the sports teams and the Minister of Sports all the money that Parliament appropriates for them as per the budget, because this is the only field where we shall promote talent, have our young Ugandans develop both women and men, and then the country will go to the clouds. Because with the sports, you saw what happened with the netball, Right Honorable Speaker. So I was seeking your indulgence, if it is not right for us, Right Honorable, to re-invite the Minister of Finance to come and recommit with this achievement. In the heat of the achievement, the minister comes here and commits themselves that they are going to release even the money that they are not released the sports fraternity. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Do you have a Minister of Finance? Maybe if I could first ask again, Honorable Ministers, I am happy the Prime Minister has come. Prime Minister, don't push us to the wall. You people are pushing this house to the wall. The ministers come at their own time. They don't even come. At least Aroboy has come. They don't even come. The only minister we have here, permanent and pensionable, is Honorable Bahati. And I want the House to join me in really thanking Honorable Bahati for being here. There is an issue on the floor where you're failing to give money to sports. We've just won from the she cranes have just won. They even traveled when they didn't have money. All the sports don't have money. Can we get a commitment from you that you're going to give us money for sports? As appropriated.
Right Honorable, I want to thank the she cranes for what they have done for this country. I think everybody is very proud of the she cranes for the job that was well done. We thank them so much. And according to the appropriation of money to the sports area, we are going to consider that program come the next financial budget.
Prime Minister, honorable members, the she cranes has just played. They won in this financial year. You sent them out there without any money. You have under 20, which is in Sudan now. They are doing very well. They are there without money. We did appropriate money for those for sports. We ring-fenced money for sports. You've not released as per the appropriation. And you're talking about the next financial year.
Right Honorable, I was still developing my statement, but I wanted to say that we are going to add more money in the next financial, but as for now, we are going to ensure that money that was appropriated for the she cranes is released. But the other one, I was just adding, except that
Honorable-
I started from the other way around. I thank you.
Members, can I have some order? Can I have the Minister of Finance here? The money we are talking about is money for sports. Can I have the Minister of Finance here? And then we'll give him an order.
Right Honorable Speaker, let us call the Minister for Finance. But the clarification I was giving is that we are going to make sure that that money is released. That was appropriated to those people. But let us call the Minister for Finance to
Can
come
I-
and give us assurance about that money.
I
Thank
want
you.
I want you to call the Minister of Finance. Don't take a blame which is not yours. Yes, Whip.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me also add my voice to that of yours and the colleagues and congratulate the she cranes upon that sterling performance. Madam Speaker, as you require the Minister of State for Health to respond to that concern about the strike,
About what?
about the strike of the
Yes, yes.
medics. There is another grave universal concern of the country, Madam Speaker, especially given that the usual donors, like the USA, they have circumvented the government and they are now providing funding directly to UN agencies, to partners, and even to other bodies rather than the line ministry. We would like to know from the minister what has gone amiss. Well, is it the usual misappropriations that we know that have bedeviled that ministry, that have scared donors? But it is you to respond to that concern, which is of urgent public importance, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to
He's
comment
going to
about the
respond on
issue.
both.
I want to comment about the issue of interns. We've just been meeting interns as a committee. They've not been paid for 2 months. The month of September and October. To put this into perspective, when we were interns in 2000, we used to be housed at hospitals, we used to be fed, and we were few. Now we are having over 1,700 interns in Uganda, and not paying them for even a month is a matter of life and death. Because some of them, most of them are housing themselves, they are feeding themselves, they are staying as far as Chira and even Wachiso. Therefore, I want to, and there is another issue. The ministry has refused to meet the leadership of the interns for the 2 months. So there is lack of information. The interns do not know why they have not been paid for 2 months. They do not know why there are salary disparities. And I want the minister also to explain why they should refuse to meet interns when they know they are the backbone of the health system in Uganda. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Can I have the last one from the former Minister of Sports? Then you'll give, as you call for us, the current Minister of Sports.
Thanks very much, Right Honorable Speaker and the honorable members. I cannot add more on congratulating the Shikrens. And Right Honorable Speaker, I want to inform the members that if it wasn't this parliament, sports wouldn't have reached where it has reached. If it wasn't the speaker, by the way, even before she became a speaker, she contributed a lot to the development of sports. Having said that, Right Honorable Speaker, now that the minister is coming of health to give information about the interns, Let me develop my point, then you can bring your order.
It's okay.
Madam
Honorable, you see.
Speaker,
Uh-huh.
the colleague standing there is the immediate former Minister of Sports. Former immediate. He now says, if it was not you, for 10 years was Minister for Sports. Is he in order to come here and confess that actually he was just jaywalking there was no work for him?
Honorable members, the Honorable Minister Bakabulindi is in order. And the Honorable Minister is just giving a preamble of the success of the She Crane.
Thanks very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to remind him that by the time I joined the ministry, we had only one gold medal, and I left when he could not count them. I'm trying to say it has evolved further because of this parliament and personalities like the speaker. Now that the Minister of State for Health has come to explain about the interns, you recall, honorable members, that during the COVID-19 period, they could be informing us about lack of funds because of certain drugs that were going to be used. Now I've been hearing the ministry is lacking money and is requesting for money for Ebola. But I've never heard what type of treatment they are telling us or what are they buying in order to help the Ugandans. Is it the food that I'm hearing in Mubende, or there are certain drugs that are very expensive? Now that the minister is around, you can tell us more about the need for that money. And also why their money is now being diverted to the agencies instead of you, the ministry. I thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Hassan, Basandira.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, as we join the country and the world in congratulating the She Cranes and the challenges of financing of sports in this country, part of the problem, Right Honourable Speaker, relates to the law that governs sports in this country. We have a very old and archaic law, the sports law. Right Honourable Speaker, I and the Honorable Hashim Magogo came on the floor here with the private members bill to amend the law on sports. At that time, the Honorable Obua was State Minister for Sports, and he pleaded with us that government was taking over that bill. We had a meeting with the Honorable Obua in his office and sports officials, and they promised they were bringing here the bill. It is now coming to 6 months. There is no bill. There are no efforts towards that direction. That even explains why government even delays to release money and some of the related confusion in the sports sector because of the absence of that law. Right Honourable Speaker, was it deliberate for government to frustrate our bill? Why aren't they bringing, was it deliberate to frustrate me and Magogo to bring the bill here? Why are you doing it deliberately? Why haven't you brought the bill now? And why are we suffering? I thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable, now we have a Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance, we have an issue here. We appropriated money for sports in general. We went ahead as Parliament of Uganda by the powers vested on us to even ring fence the money that should go to sports. However, what we appropriated has not been given. We have She Cranes, we have football, we have boxing, we have all this. We have chairs, but they don't have money. We want the money that was appropriated for sports to be given to sports, mindful of the fact that sports is the only discipline that does mobilization, that does not bring issues of political, religious affiliation, that brings this peace in this country. So we want to hear from you as a Minister of Finance. What plans do you have for you to finance sports?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues. My name is Anita Ivrin, the wife of Kajik.
She's
Alan.
called Anita.
Right Honorable, there was a man asking, so I had to tell him that I'm a wife to Alan Kajik.
Who is asking?
Right Honorable.
No, Abudallah. Abudallah, that is Honorable Anita Evelyn, a wife to
Alan Kajik.
Yes.
Right Honorable. Right Honorable Speaker.
Order. Members.
Right Honorable Speaker. I am aware of the role that sports perform in our country. Indeed, it's true that through sports, Ugandans get united, regardless of their political parties. And indeed, it is through sports that our young people get themselves engaged in meaningful activities. Therefore, as government, we take the sponsorship and support that we give to the sports fraternity very serious. And we do appreciate this August House led by you for appropriating money for sports in the financial year 2022 and 2023. The reason why we were not able to release the money in totality is because in the first quarter, we did have challenges of resource mobilization, owing to the fact that we're just coming out of aggressive COVID and we're not able to mobilize revenue from our taxpayers forthcoming. But I want to give you the good news that this has gone to the past and we've been able to mobilize resources, and we will release the money that was appropriated by Parliament for sports to its full totality. Thank you.
Honorable Anita, thank you so much. Can we have the timeline when you're releasing the previous money that was supposed to be given? Because we are in quarter 2, they never got a release for quarter 1, and they have not got for quarter 2. Please tell us when you can release. Maybe you'll release tomorrow, next day, or whichever.
Right Honorable Speaker, as I did inform the House through you, I need to make a commitment that when I come for tomorrow's session, I'll give the exact date and time of when we shall release the money.
Honorable Ministers, Honorable Minister is going to give us the exact date when the money will be released for the first quarter and the second quarter. Thank you so much, Honorable Anita. Honorable Minister, the government chief whip, former immediate Minister of Sports, who took over the sports bill. Could you give us an update of what happened to the sports bill? Yes.
Procedure, Right Honorable.
Yes, a procedure matter.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise under Rule 83, Sub Rule 1B, read together with Rule 7, Sub Rule 3. Right Honorable Speaker. And I would want to seek your ruling and clarification as to whether this House suspended Rule 83, Sub Rule 1B with regard to sitting in this House. Right Honorable, the rule provides that a member shall not cross the floor of the House or move around unnecessarily. If I may refer to Rule 7, Sub-Rule 3, Right Honorable, it says that in deciding a point of order or practice, the Speaker shall state reasons for the decision and shall cite any rule of procedure or other applicable authority. Right Honorable Speaker, it seems to have been perceived by members in this House that at one time when you said that it was free sitting, that it had become a perpetual free sitting. As you can see, Right Honorable, and I would want, if you may recall, Right Honorable, one day I had sought to approach your chair and I had your authority to proceed. I was sitting with you and a minister came and ordered me to vacate and leave. As you observe the sitting in this House, Right Honorable, the NRM members have continuously bullied other members of the House and disorganized sitting.
You use a better language. Nobody has bullied the other. Nobody has bullied the other. Listen.
Ministers have come and sat anywhere they have wanted. Members of Parliament from the NRM party have all come and sat wherever they have wanted. And as independents and opposition, I have felt bullied. And I speak as the Dean of Independence that my members have felt bullied and ostracized in this House. So I seek for your ruling, whether that rule is suspended perpetually. Right Honorable. Thank you.
Honorable members, you know, Honorable Zijan has been away for some time. Honorable Zijan is at LODC. I think he has been revising the rules. So he wants, honorable members. So Honorable Zijan wants to show you that now he knows the rules. Honorable members, at the beginning, I said free sitting. I have never withdrawn my statement. And the only seat that you cannot sit is this one. Honorable members, but Daudi, Honorable Zijan Daudi, you're most welcome back. Welcome back to the House. Honorable Bua, can we finish?
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues.
Honorable members, can you listen?
As raised by Honorable Suman Basalira, it is true that when Honorable Moses Magogo moved a motion seeking leave of Parliament to introduce a private member's bill on sports, we agreed with both the mover and the seconder, and under the then government chief whip, who is currently the deputy speaker, we convened a meeting where the movers of the private members bill agreed with government that the two bills be harmonized, because the fact is government had started on the work to come up with a bill on sports. It was halted pending review of the sports policy. Right Honorable Speaker, when we had that meeting, all the due processes were followed. The two bills in draft form, that of the private member and the one of government, were formally submitted to the Attorney General's chambers for harmonization. By the time I left the Ministry of Education and Sports, the Office of the Attorney General had made submission back to the Office of the Minister of Education and Sports, sending a copy of the harmonized bill. Right Honorable Speaker, I have on my phone. If you would wish I lay it, I will move and print. But this is an internal memo where I was requesting to table the various bills and papers relating to sports to the top management. And this was dated 15th of June, 2022. And on the list was the physical activity and sports bill. So what I can state is that the harmonized bill by the Office of the Attorney General was submitted back to the Ministry of Education and Sports. What was remaining was the ministry to discuss the bill in top management, proceed to cabinet, then after cabinet, now come to parliament. So Right Honorable Speaker, that is where I left the bill. The issue is the bill is back at the Ministry of Education and Sports, the harmonized bill from the two bills. So maybe the ministry can now answer, because from that point, I cannot now speak for the Minister of Education and Sports. Thank you.
Honorable the harmonization of what the private member had raised and what the minister was raising would have been done at committee level. The bill was basically coming for the first reading. I don't see a reason why somebody should be stopped from exercising his constitutional right to bring a private member's bill. You will continue hearing stories. We are still harmonizing. We are still doing A, B, C, D. It is going to top management. Honorable members. Honorable members. Yeah, Minister, you have some information?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. I just stand to pass information on this matter concerning the physical activity and sports bill. My ministry has been, as the Chief Whip has just said, really working through this bill. And as I speak, top management of the ministry has gone through the bill, has passed it, and right now,
there's a procedure matter.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the processes in the ministry have been explained by the former Minister of Sports. Madam Speaker, I recall I seconded that bill because the seconder then, one of Basalula, was out of the country. And I stepped in to second the bill. Madam Speaker, aware that the member had done consultations and was far away, actually he had moved far with the bill to the point of now seeking leave with even a draft, because by the time you come to seek leave, you have a draft, you have consulted. So Right Honorable Speaker, would it not be procedural right to allow the Honorable Moses Magogo to move with his bill, and then the government can join him along the way? Right Honorable Speaker, would it not be procedural right? Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I want to refer you to Article 94.4.4b. A member of parliament has a right to move a private member's bill. And a member of parliament in his own right moved a private member's bill. He sought for leave. He was given leave. It came for the first reading. It was hijacked and blocked by the minister then, Honorable Bua. And I am therefore asking the private member to come for the first reading tomorrow on this bill. Matters of national importance.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, when we raise issues in this parliament, we expect ministers to come and answer. You were in the chair when I raised the issue of our relationship with Congo, following tweets by one general of the military, and you directed the minister to come here and give a statement.
Honorable,
Madam
before you finish, there's something I don't want to forget on the interns first. Then you come.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the interns have been paid to date, and there's nothing that is left to be paid to them, and the strike was called off. The dentists and doctors were paid 2.5 million, the pharmacists 2 million, nurses and midwives 1.5. However, Right Honorable Speaker, July and August were paid from the first quarter, but releases were inadequate, and thus we paid September and October in this quarter. That's the areas that we had. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, the issue of medics, doctors, nurses, and you say the releases were insufficient. You'd rather not pay a member of parliament, but pay a doctor, because they are looking after our people. Members,
Right Honorable Speaker.
members, honorable members, honorable members.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Health is very important in this country.
When the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development sends less the money that we're supposed to cater for wages and salaries, we have no option but to look around. But we do not have the mandate to stop paying of members of parliament.
Did you come back to this house?
Finance that pays parliament.
No, did you come back to this house to tell us that you don't have money for salaries? Because we are the ones who are appropriated.
We have been writing to this house and also to Ministry of Finance over the money to do with interns, because interns keep coming in different times to our hospitals. They
Honorable
don't all come
members,
at once.
as far as I know, we have not received any communication, because if you're writing to this house, you'll write to the speaker. We have not had any communication in terms of payment of medics. No.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Listening to
Honorable members, kindly listen.
listen to my honorable sister, the Minister of Health, explaining our way in summary terms that the interns were paid and their matter settled and strike called off. First of all, if they have been paid, thank you. Will you explain to this House, Honorable Minister, how many lives were lost out of that negligence? And who should we really demand to account? Because Right Honorable Speaker, for the minister to simply casually come here and explain that they have after all paid, when people are complaining about patient not attended to because somebody is casually attending to duty is unacceptable. Will the minister explain and give information to this house how many lives were lost and who is accountable for this criminal negligence? Procedural Speaker, it's unacceptable. I'll take the information from the doctor.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Leader of Opposition.
Look, you gave the doctor. Yes, doctor.
And thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. We have just been in the Health Committee, Right Honorable Speaker, and we have met the leadership of the medical interns just an hour ago. They have explained that they have never been paid. They have never been paid, even after a pronouncement that they were paid for September and October. They have never been paid. They have not even called off a strike. They have not even been met by the Ministry of Education or anybody else, Ministry of Health, I beg your pardon. So is it in order, Right Honorable Speaker? Oh, Right Honorable Speaker, the information I want to give is that the strike is on, the interns have never been met, the interns have not been paid, and therefore the minister is lying.
Honorable members, as I said before, the persons that we are talking about are very, very important in our lives. It's about one's health. Assuming tomorrow you go for treatment and that intern refuses to treat you, what happens? And they are watching us lying in this house. Honorable Minister, I want evidence that the interns were paid. And I want that evidence to be laid on table tomorrow. I will do that, Right Honorable Speaker. They were paid. And before we forget, we also want our statutory instrument on Ebola. Yes, you're done?
Right Honorable Speaker, you've been so generous to the minister for affording her some hours. But the Minister of Health is a few minutes away. Should have laid that evidence today, because if we continue with this kind of procrastination by the minister, lives are going to be lost overnight. And it's just saying he'll be here tomorrow to lay the evidence of payment.
No,
I don't think Dr. Lumebaiga is feeding this house with the lies. So between the minister and the honorable members of the committee, we must find a liar and we have that liar charged. Right, Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I just wanted to bring further information to the minister. One, in addition to not being paid, the interns have stated for 6 months, they have made effort to meet with the ministry, but the ministry has refused to meet them. The only information they get is through the media. Secondly, the issues on which the interns are striking about is also on the issue of salary discrepancies. The president directed that the interns be paid half of the salaries of their seniors. But what is happening is that the Ministry of Health has decided to apply their own salary scale. The nurses are supposed to get 2.2 million. They're only getting 1.5 million. The pharmacists, the intern pharmacists are supposed to get 2.5 million. They're only getting 2 million, as she has stated. Why has the minister defied the directive of the president of this country, General Lieutenant Yoweri Kaguta Museveni? Can she please explain?
Information.
Order. Order.
Information.
Order. Oh, gone. 1 minute each.
Right, Honorable Speaker, as we talk about the salaries for interns, I think it's only very important that we bring it out that it is like a general thing. I got a call from somebody who works with the UMI, and is complaining that the consultants who are working with the Uganda Management Institute have not been paid for the last 8 months. And therefore, it seems there is a real big tension around payment of salaries and allowances for civil servants. I'm hearing that some people even here are also saying that they are.
Okay.
Right, Honorable Speaker, and
Members, let's have an order.
Right, Honorable Speaker and the honorable members, as the workers' representative, if a strike has been led by the interns, there is no way the government can call off a strike. The honorable minister should say, the interns, I met them and they have called off the strike, but not the government.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, you remember last week, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Musas Henry, was here, and he told the House that salaries have been raised 100%. Right Honorable Speaker, it has become a habit for the ministers to say this, another one says this. The Minister of Health is telling us that there were insufficient releases, when actually Honorable Musas was here telling us broad day that releases were 100%. Now, I think Right Honorable Speaker, it is very important that among these ministers, we find out who is playing with the House after deliberating ourselves, allocating money, and they come here, they start playing around. The minister says they release the money. So we need to find out who is lying who. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this point about the interns, the House, and the way we are taking it must be even stronger than what we are debating. When you go to all the health centers, it is the interns that do all this work. When you are in Kampala, at least we can talk about, but go outside Kampala. Even this little money that we are talking about, they don't get it. And now, if the minister still says July and August, insufficient fund was released. September, October has also been released. I think this statement should be expunged from the answer. Otherwise, the whole house will look as if we are joking with these interns. I thank you.
Isaac.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Yes, I just wanted to echo my voice to Honorable Pio. It's true, I'm also from the Health Committee, and it is true we had the interns this morning, and all the information that I've spoken is actually true. The strike is still ongoing, and they stated it highly, especially on the issue of their accommodation. Because before, actually, the interns used to get some accommodation. But right now in the country, only 26% of interns actually get accommodated within the health centers. And this is causing a lot of pressure on them. We're all more than aware that 70% of the workforce within our healthcare system is actually filled by the interns. So it is actually right that we support them. And although we appreciate the government effort of increasing the salary of interns from 750 to almost 2 million for the doctors, yes, we appreciate. But the directive of the president, I think, must be actually.
Thank you, Avoro.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I cannot agree with you more than what you stated, that the health workers in this country and the world over must be treated with the most care that they deserve, because they are second to God as far as life is concerned. But Right Honorable Speaker, the underlying cause of all these lies, all those inappropriate reporting by the front bench must be traced. And according to me,
The problem is nowhere other than with the Ministry of Finance. Because I did listen to the PSST saying the only areas that workers in Uganda should date as far as September. That means effective October, all of us who earn from the consolidated fund should have been paid. Right, Honorable Speaker, if you go to the lower governments, things are not good, right, Honorable Speaker. You sent us for recess. I was in my constituency. People have not got paid. No service delivery. PDM, no money has gone, and yet we are talking of releases. So why can't we for once be honest to people of Uganda? Why can't we for once be honest? Even in our homes, there are times when things are hard, and you tell your wife, you tell your husband, things are hard, but you are frank, you are honest, and says, let's deal with this, let's deal with this. Because it is so disheartening, right, Honorable Speaker. I spent the night in Mulago on Saturday and Sunday. I was all in my home last evening with the ailing sister. But you see the amount that health workers are trying to really do their best. But indeed, money motivates. What I don't want to agree with is that because somebody has not been paid.
Honorable Buru is the vice chairperson of finance. So when she talks about finance, she knows finance more. She knows what happens in finance, and she's the only person who can tell us what finance is hiding. Jessica?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I have listened carefully to the concerns and the responses. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, issues of salaries are right issues. Therefore, beyond even health workers, once somebody has done work, he or she must be paid. In the appropriation, salaries and allowances takes the first call. We have never reduced any provision in relation to salaries and allowances. Therefore, in my view, the Right Honorable Prime Minister is in the House. This will be taken up by government. Governments will commit itself that this will not be repeated. We can play with other things, but not people's salaries. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, thank you so much. In the public gallery this afternoon, we have clerkship students who are currently doing internship with the Department of Legislative and Procedural Services in Parliament. Where are you? Please stand up and just say hi. You're most welcome. They have come to observe the proceedings of this house this afternoon. Join me in welcoming them. Welcome, please have a seat. Members, on the issue of the strike, the discrepancies in payments of salaries, we need a comprehensive statement. Comprehensive statement in this house tomorrow, which we will debate. We also want evidence of payment that should be laid on table. And we want evidence that finance did not release all the money. If you're saying they didn't release, but as far as we know, the minister told us that all the money for salaries were released. So we need all that tomorrow and come ready for a debate on the issue of medics. And we had talked about the salary reviews commission. How far has it gone, Prime Minister?
Right Honorable Speaker,
with the permission of the Prime Minister, I can authoritatively say that the salary reviews commission or board arrangements and discussions are now almost concluded through cabinet. And as soon as they are, definitely we shall be here on the floor of Parliament, not long to go, and present that board before Parliament. Right, Honorable Speaker.
How long is that?
Most likely 2 weeks, depends, Right Honorable Speaker. Yes, yes.
Honorable Minister,
2 weeks, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Minister, I just want to notify you that you're already on the order paper for that. So don't tell us stories that is not long ago. Check order item 10 on the order paper. So get ready and come and present. There was a procedural matter from.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I had given the preamble. I did raise here a matter to which you directed the government, specifically the ministers for defense and foreign affairs, to come and brief Parliament. The reason I am reinstating and raising a procedural issue.
To brief Parliament on what?
The issue was there was a demonstration in DRC, but there was also a resolution of Parliament of Congo that Uganda should be expelled, even Operation Shuja, for which we passed money, should be stopped. Madam Speaker, things have now escalated because recently we had the CDF in Kenya, and they agreed to send an East African standby force in DRC, Uganda inclusive. This week, the president of Kenya actually inspected the parade and instructed Kenyans to go to Congo and begin fighting M23. But as the East African force was about to begin landing, the same general said, if you fight M23, you will be making a very big mistake. The CDF was in Nairobi with all the CDFs of the East African armies assembling a team to go and fight M23. Now, a general here in the military, the one who keeps tweeting, I mean the son of President Museveni, he's saying if we go
Honorable Haji, it is our rule that we cannot discuss about a person who is not here, who does not have capacity to respond to whatever is being discussed here. If he made a tweet, how sure are you that that was his account? Next item.
Madam Speaker, if you can allow me.
Next item.
Item 3.
Matters of
Motions.
national importance.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, since last week, we've been dealing with a complex community health situation in this country that compelled Parliament to even sit in phases. And over the weekend, we're getting reports from other areas, specifically Dr. Abed Bwanika's constituency, of Ebola escalation. I was expecting the Minister of Health to debrief this House, probably for responsible enough on a daily basis on the progression and the steps taken to arrest the situation, now that we are getting reports of the same problem escalating in other constituencies as part of remedial action, updating the nation, especially leaders in this House, as to how far they have gone in dealing with the situation that far, or whether we are dealing with an escalation or a containment of the Ebola situation in this country, Honorable Speaker. we do not have a brief, and we only listen to, we are picking to information on social media. And the latest in the country as leaders, not really what we know, for us to be able to inform ourselves and the people we lead as to what next, especially with escalations in other regions. President Speaker.
Honorable Minister, I think you'll need to give us an update again on Ebola by end of the week.
Most obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. We shall prepare another update for Thursday.
Thank you. Mujiche.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on Thursday last week, I raised the matter concerning the expired women councils, and you directed the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs to appear today and brief us on the fate of these expired women councils. I was expecting him to be here today. I don't see him here, and I am concerned as a member who respects women so much, a member who loves women so much, as a member who has women councils in my constituency. Right Honorable Speaker, we take your directives very seriously, and I would want to know why the Minister for Constitutional Affairs does not take your directive very seriously.
Government Chief Whip. We have is around.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Francis Mwishuche is a colleague of mine. I'm sorry, I don't know how to speak beyond this. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm humbly requesting that we can make a presentation to that tomorrow in writing. It's not ready for today. It will be here tomorrow.
You make a presentation on that and also give us accountability of the 15.6 billion which was released to the Electoral Commission.
For that matter, Right Honorable Speaker, I would want to request that you give us more time.
No, we had already given you time. We had already given you time, and making an accountability is something very easy, unless if you're saying you're going to cook it.
Right Honorable.
Can I have the report tomorrow?
Thank you.
Can I have the report tomorrow, Sassy? Sass?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm raising a matter of national importance regarding increased deforestation and the total conversion of our natural forests into eucalyptus plantations in Gomba. Madam Speaker, Gomba has 10 forest reserves covering 10,753 hectares. But all these have been given out to private investors who have gone ahead to plant eucalyptus trees all over. Consequently, losing out on the natural benefits of forests. Madam Speaker, according to Section 13 of National Forestry and Planting Act, it states that forests shall be managed in a manner.
The section is the Tree Planting Act.
Yes, consistent to the purpose it was declared. Consistent to the purpose it was declared, Madam Speaker. That is to say, conserve biological diversity, ecosystem, protect soil, air, and water quality. Madam Speaker, these forests have been given out. They have even gone ahead to prevent residents from reaching there to get firewood, water sources, and even natural things like natural herbs. Madam Speaker, To that effect, I have two prayers. One, the ministry responsible should come out with a statement to brief us on the status of forest cover in Uganda. They should tell us how the NFA has given out these forests to private investors, and why in all tree types they are planting eucalyptus all over. Two, Madam Speaker, assuming it is not in the law, the minister responsible should direct through regulation, should direct the NFA people to coordinate with local people on ground, local leaders, to establish forest protection committees so that we can at least reserve some forests. Madam Speaker, on Friday, as members of Uganda caucus, we toured Buikwe district. We experienced the same situation. Forests have been depleted, leaders are not consulted, land is being shared. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Honorable member, thank you so much, Honorable Stasi. Government.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I thank Honorable colleague for the concern about our environment. But what I would like to say about NFA is that they have the authority to allocate land to the public to plant trees. And it depends on that person who has been given the land, which type of trees he or she wants to plant according to the guidelines. So I will say, Right Honorable, that the people who have been given land and maybe they are not planting the trees, those are the ones whom we should investigate. But those ones who are planting trees, they are responding to the call to preserve the environment. Then those people who are going to the forest to get firewood, again, they are destroying the forest, because he was saying that the people have been refused to go and collect firewood. They are continuing to destroy the forest, yet they are not supposed to do that. They are not supposed to go and collect firewood from the forests.
Members, order. Prime Minister, maybe you need to understand what you have said more, that the encroachers, it is actually the encroachers who have planted some eucalyptus trees in that place. Now, for him, his question is, who gave powers to those people to destroy the original forest of NFA?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm going to call the Minister of Environment to come and give us a statement like he has requested. To that effect, I thank you.
And then his other issue is, did anybody take over powers of Parliament to do the gazette, to de-gazette the forest which belongs to government?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I think when the minister comes to give a statement, he has to answer all those questions if there are people who have de-gazetted the forest apart from Parliament. Thank you.
Honorable Law, just a minute.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, last week I raised a similar issue, and the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Prime Minister, committed the House off that today, Tuesday, she will bring a comprehensive report about the land titles that are being issued in my constituency, Bunya County South, in South Busoga Central Forest Reserve. If I hear the response of the Prime Minister promising again that to for the minister responsible for environment to come another day. And yet today, she was supposed to bring, he or she is supposed to bring here a report about the same. I get scared. Right, Honorable Speaker, the point of procedure that I wanted to raise, are we proceeding well by the same Prime Minister
No,
to come on the floor of Parliament?
She's not the same.
The same office.
Actually, there's a difference between an office and a person.
Right, Honorable
The
Speaker.
Prime Minister of that time was Right Honorable Nabanja. Now this is Hajat.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm questioning the office of the Prime Minister.
Okay.
And she's standing in the office of the Prime Minister.
Okay.
So I think she's in the right position to respond to the matters being raised here in the House.
Honorable members, issues of the gazetting forests, issues of all the forests should be handled. Chief Whip, can we have all those issues of forests that members are raising? The issue of wetlands, give them to be handled by the ministry, and the ministry will have a comprehensive report on all that.
The chief whip could continue consulting as I give this notice, right, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, you can consult, but not on phone.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I did an excursion in Bunyoro. I've been doing an extensive excursion in the central region here in Uganda. The issue of the Central Forest Reserve is a very, very serious matter. The Shadow Minister for Environment is computing a document, and I put the House on a notice. It will be laid here and debated about who is doing what in the Central Forest Reserve. For example, in Ibuikwe, where we were last week on Friday, actually licensees cut down a natural forest and they were logging trucks and trucks of firewood for sale. That, Honorable Speaker, is criminal, and we are going to provide a report here. But it's appropriate that the Prime Minister lays her report so that we can actually debunk the concoctions in it from our own presentation.
You can both lay your reports and I will refer them to the Committee of Natural Resources.
Right, Honorable Speaker, we shall be ready with the report next week.
Thank you. Honorable members, Honorable Kaduchu, the Minister of Education, has given me a document which the government chief whip wanted to lay on his phone. That is a cabinet memorandum on fiscal activities and Sports Bill 2022. I am not seeing anything that stops the private member from proceeding from this letter. So this letter cannot be a document of Parliament, just to stop Parliament from doing its work in the name of hijacking the powers of Parliament. Honorable Abedi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, in Ichimanya Kabonera Masaka City, we lost a daughter of one, Kamlegea, in Ichimanya A, who succumbed to Ebola on the 1st of November. Ever since that time, we have had so many contacts, currently coming to 100 in the area. And some of these contacts, they have melted in the society, in the community, which puts their lives at risk and also the lives of the communities at risk. Since that time, Right Honorable Speaker, the response team in Masaka City has been put in place. And the ministry, the central minister have come there to reinforce. But there is no money. There is no money. My prayers, Right Honorable Speaker, that government should avail funds to enable the response team on the ground do their work. Secondly, government should deploy technology to track down these contacts who are within the communities because they put the community at risk. And thirdly, government should deepen sensitization and mobilization of communities so that they understand Ebola, so that we don't have those issues of denials and people running away within communities. I so submit.
And running to which doctors? Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much, Right Honorable Abed-Wanika, for raising this concern. I hope your case is not a probable. It has been tested and confirmed as Ebola. I hope so. Once the person is tested and confirmed that he has Ebola, we don't allow them, first of all, to live in the society. Secondly, we trace all contacts and quarantine them. And thirdly, this person is buried scientifically. If all this took place, then that person is confirmed. But if it's a probable, then we can't tell because somebody can fall sick in a village and people bury them. But where the person has been confirmed, we always take all the contacts into quarantine. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Right Honorable. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm talking about a confirmed case. I'm not talking about probables. This is a confirmed case that was confirmed by the ministry, and the lady was buried in Vutale. I'm talking about something confirmed. And these people, the contacts, you don't yet have them. It's now a week, you don't have those contacts. One of the contacts is in Vujiri, another one is in Jinja. I'm talking about serious things.
Honorable Minister. Honorable. Members. Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister. Honorable members, can I have the order in the House? In the last submission that you made, you say, whichever burial that takes place, now it is your team that takes over, irrespective whether it is confirmed that it's Ebola victim or not. So I think he has an issue that really needs to be answered. And it's a very valid issue that you need to go back and agree. Maybe you need to get more information from him. Honorable Agaba. Honorable Agaba.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I'm Agaba Aisa, representing the people of Bugangais East in Kakumiro District. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of national importance concerning the land grabbing and illegal evictions in Bugangais East County in Kakumiro District. Right Honorable Speaker, over 12,000 residents in 3 villages, that is Chujrenje, Jumangabo, and Uhumuliro, are facing evictions from Kasambogo group that claims ownership. The land in question is on plot number 58, block 333, and it hosts 3 villages, out of which 2 are part of Bugangais East and Bugangais West, which is 1 village. The affected communities have settled on the said land since 1992. There were the people that were evicted from Pocha Forest Reserve in Kabarore District. That was 1992 and they were resettled in Bugangai's east and west in Kakumia district. Right Honorable Speaker, since then, for about 30 years now, these people have settled on this land and others have been born and raised on this land uninterrupted, and they live in harmony. It was until 2017 when Kasambogo Group emerged, claiming the ownership of this land, and with no time, they presented the land title as evidence of ownership, whose details indicate that it was acquired in
Honorable
2017.
members, try to summarize your issues and give us the prayers.
They have no details of transaction of transfer of land titles. Right Honorable Speaker, my prayers. The Ministry of Lands and Housing, Urban Development should cancel the land title in the names of Kasambogo Group, which claims ownership of land in question, and also halt all activities of this group on this land until the matter is resolved. The government, through the line Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, should survey and demarcate the land such that it issues land titles to the occupants of the land who by law are bona fide owners in Bugangai's East to avoid conflicts. Government should embark on the process to compensate all genuine absentee landlords to end conflicts on this land. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, the Office of Attorney General should take on and defend all cases in Masindi High Court that are filed by the absentee landlords against the occupants in Bugangai's East. I submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
I want you to amend your prayer by not asking the minister to cancel, but ask the minister to investigate on the ownership. After investigation, an action will be taken.
Right Honorable Speaker, I ask the minister to investigate on an issue about Kasambogo Group and the land in Chijenje and Buhumuliro and Jumangabo in Bugangai's East. I beg, submit.
Honorable Minister, I've seen Minister of Lands. She's around, Minister is around.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. One of the prayers was that
there's a procedure.
one of the prayers was that the Attorney General should defend all cases.
So there's a procedure matter.
Sorry.
Without attempting to prejudice the matter raised by my colleague, procedural issue I'm raising, because my understanding that area is also represented by the Prime Minister, who has been moving all over the country stopping eviction. But now in her backyard, an MP representing a county is complaining. So the procedural issue I am raising, Madam Speaker, is whether by the MP coming here, actually the Prime Minister is just pretending everywhere else she goes. Because if you can't stop eviction in your own backyard, you cannot be stopping it elsewhere.
Honorable Agava is representing a constituency that is affected. And she's raising an issue in her own capacity as a member of parliament. And if the woman member of parliament has not raised it, then for her, she's doing her role. And maybe the woman member of parliament is not aware of what is happening. So she's right. She's right to do it.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Member of Parliament made a prayer that the Office of the Attorney General should defend cases filed by absentee landlords against the sitting tenants. Right Honorable Speaker, I wish to inform the Honorable Member and colleagues that as the Office of the Attorney General, we cannot defend cases to which we are not a party, unless the Attorney General is sued alongside the sitting tenants. It's not possible for the Attorney General to interest himself in those cases. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable colleague for having brought up the issue. I want to commit myself that we will investigate and present a report to the House. But Right Honorable Speaker, the issues of Kakumiro, as a ministry, we have compensated some landlords. And I think very soon, over 2,500 titles are going to be issued to the bona fide occupants in Kakumiro district. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister of Lands. And one thing I can tell you, Honorable Nabakova, when she tells you we are going to do this, she does it. Honorable Mugabe.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. It's a matter of national importance. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue is the high penalty rate on loan overdues and the rampant sale of correctors by commercial banks. Right Honorable Speaker, Ugandans are clients to banks, and Ugandans pick loans from these banks. Right Honorable Speaker, in 2020, COVID hit this country, and this country went into an economic recession. The president made a statement and said to banks, please give your clients or Ugandans a grace period. Indeed, it happened. But what banks did is to count that those who have not managed to pay their loans or continue to pay their loans on time, what it did was to count that as a default, and it started attracting high penalty rates on those defaults. Not only that, but whenever you go to the bank and you want to pick a loan, there is an agreement that you sign with those banks with a clause: when you fail to pay in time, it will attract a penalty which is on daily, and it's a very high percentage, Right Honorable Speaker. What is happening today? People are failing to pay loans because the high penalty rates are high and they're accumulating interest. And Bank of Uganda, which is the supervising entity, is not helping Ugandans. Right Honorable Speaker, people are struggling to pay loans and their properties are being taken because there is high accumulation of penalties on those loans. Right Honorable Speaker, my prayer is simple, that the Committee on National Economy should handle this matter to help Ugandans not to lose properties. I thank you.
The minister was supposed, the Prime Minister was supposed to come with a response on that issue, but these are matters of the law. They are matters of the law. I want you to look at the Financial Institutions Act and see if you can, and remember most of these banks that we are dealing with are private banks, and private and foreign. We don't have a bank that it is our bank that we should do it. We should have that contract. But at the same time, you need to look at the Financial Institutions Act. You need to look at the Bank of Uganda Act before we can do this. But these are matters of the law. Honorable Acrobat.
Thank you, Right Honorable Madam Speaker. I rise on a matter of national importance regarding abandonment of a contract to extend hydroelectric power to Bugendera by Modest Company. Right, Honorable Speaker, the issue of contract abandonment is becoming a serious issue in this country. Modest company was contracted to extend power in 2018, but to date, Madam Speaker, they have ceased, abandoned the contract. After installing the poles, Madam Speaker, Bugendera is having 12 sub-counties, 2 town councils, many government installations without power. Madam Speaker, my prayer, I pray that modest companies should be investigated for the failure to complete the contract. Number 2, the Ministry of Energy should seriously intervene to ensure the contract is completed. The final prayer, Madam Speaker, I pray that the Committee of Natural Resource include Bundibujo on their visitation to investigate on issues regarding abandonment of contracts. I submit.
Thank
you
you
so much.
Government. There's a minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I take note of the concerns of the Member of Parliament, and we shall investigate modest company. Who am I? You don't know me?
Honorable members, who has said that? Who has said, who are you?
Here.
Don't introduce yourself. You're a member of parliament elected by your members of parliament. You're not. How can you ask your colleague, who are you? He's a member of parliament. And leave alone a member of parliament, he's a minister.
Do I need to introduce
So all of
myself
you, when
every
you're
time?
coming to this house, put your names on your chest. Honorable Kasa, you finish.
So thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Yes, we are going to investigate it, and we are going to make sure that the area is connected to electricity, and we shall also make sure that those areas where there are contracts which are not finished, they are going to be implemented.
Honorable Kasa, there's also an issue of Rampara, a letter which was written by Honorable Amos, and Bukoman Simbi actually, and you've not responded to those letters.
Right Honorable, no, Right Honorable Speaker. We just have a number of those letters, and we shall respond to those letters.
Okay, can you come back with a response on what Honorable Acrobat has raised on Bukoman Simbi and then on Rampara?
Most obliged, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thursday? Yes.
Honorable Speaker, your instruction to the minister is of course most generous. But I'm afraid the honorable gentleman and the minister seemed non-committal, even awareness that they are non-performing contracts as reported by the member. I am aware that for every sub-region, they have offices. Could it be true that the honorable minister has no report anywhere about the performance of contracts issued for more than 3 years, and therefore the House must wait? It's the reason I told the Speaker why, at the tabling of a loan, I insisted that the House must demand from the Minister of Energy to table a catalog of destinations for the energy lines they are talking about, that they're going to distribute power countrywide. In some of the constituencies I have visited, poles were dropped in the villages and abandoned for now more than 3 years. Where this paid for is a very, very serious matter, and the minister must assure this house that he has a fair understanding of his docket. Otherwise, your confidence is being impeached by your submission. Is the minister aware of the resources of the ministry scattered everywhere? Poles gathering moss, and others are being used as firewood by disenchanted communities. The minister aware, right, Lord Speaker? He's not convincing on my part.
Honorable Minister, can we have a report of all your contractors? How far they have gone? What is the status? When you look at West Nile, the Nyagak project stopped. We don't know what is happening, whether West Nile now has power. It has been in darkness for long. We had a petition from West Nile. We need a statement from the minister on Thursday on all your contractors. Next, Honorable Lumo. Okay.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I will get you the report. I will get the House the report. But on West Nile, I wish to pronounce we have actually commissioned a 33 kV line to West Nile. And the members of parliament from that region will attest to this. And they're actually rejoicing. We're addressing now how we can distribute that power to the communities.
For us who want power in West Nile, whether you commissioned who want power in West Nile because there was an issue, and in all the areas that have been talked about. Lumo?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm raising on a matter of national importance regarding the closure of police posts around the central region.
Honorable members, listen.
Especially in Savannah region and elsewhere, Madam Speaker. I am alive to the fact that police posts were raided, some police officers were killed, and guns were as well stolen. Madam Speaker, I don't know whether it was retaliation, but what happened is that the police authorities decided to close down all police posts. In my constituency, Madam Speaker, Sekanyonyi police post was closed, and from Sekanyonyi to where now the closest police station is about 12 kilometers. Chikonge was closed and others. Yesterday or the other day, the local newspaper recorded 200 police posts closed within the region of Uganda. Madam Speaker, what is going to happen, or what is happening right now, that the criminals are actually rejoicing. They are having a feast day because the police is away. Madam Speaker, the police, the mandate of the police is to protect the people and their properties. Now, when issues happen,
your prayer?
Madam Speaker, my prayer is one or two, that the police posts be reinstated. That is one. Two, that the Minister of Internal Affairs comes to this house and makes a statement on how and why they decided to close the police posts, which are so important to the people. I thank you. I can take.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I only need to add that even the police stations which are existing, they lack motorcycles. They don't have motor vehicles to monitor even the areas which have now been enlarged. So we call upon the IGP to recall this directive because they have been prepared since 2019. Up to now, they don't have motor vehicles and no motorcycles to monitor the big area. So that is the biggest call, and we call upon the minister who is not here, the Prime Minister is here, that this directive be recalled and they get organized. Thank you.
It is actually not only motorcycles, they don't have even patrol cars.
Right Honorable Speaker, we take the concern, and I know His Excellency the President has responded on this, but I want to call the former Minister of Security to come and give us a brief on what is happening right now. But government is in charge.
Honorable Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, we want, I don't know how we should bring it up. The other day we approved a loan here. We said we must have priority. Security is one of them, health is the other. Let's have the vehicles purchased, let's have the motorcycles, let's have the police stations operationalized. No, you're not calling a former minister. You have a current minister. Where are your ministers? Why are you disturbing the former minister?
Right Honorable Speaker, I was of the view that members wanted some clarification now.
No.
But I can
We
tell
want
them,
an action, not clarification.
yes, government is handled, because some of those people who raided the police, some have been arrested, and government is still investigating, and government is handling that issue. That's why I was saying the former minister can come and give us a brief. But I'm going to call the Minister of Internal Affairs to come and give us a brief on what is the current, on what is going on right now.
Honorable Prime Minister, closure of police stations has nothing to do with the former Minister of Security. It was not closed at his time, it was closed yesterday. And secondly, a purchase of a motorcycle or a patrol vehicle does not have anything to do with that. Let's help our people. Next item.
Item 3, motion seeking leave of the House to introduce private members' bills. Item 3.1, the Consumer Protection Bill 2022.
Honorable members, Article 94(4)(b) of the Constitution of Uganda is the bedrock of the right of a member of parliament to introduce a private member's bill. This constitutional provision is operationalized by Rule 121 of the Rules of Procedure. The starting point of this process is by seeking leave of the House to introduce a private member's bill. Today we have 2 members who are seeking for leave to exercise their constitutional right under Article 94(4)(b). And these members, we have Honorable Sentai. However, we as members, private members, would not be introducing our private members' bill if government was doing its work. We are disappointed because of the pace that government is moving. So we are forced to make the House active. I now therefore ask Honorable Sentai to come and present his bill. Yes.
Madam Speaker, the matter of police has been raised. And you've directed that the minister responsible, the current minister, should be the one to come and give a statement.
The rules of procedure do not allow us to go back to an item that we have left. And we are now on another item. So you're taking us back. Check your rules of procedure, and then I can give you the time to speak if that's what the rules of procedure allow you. Honorable Sentai.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. For record purposes, Sentai Muhammad. I represent the people of Koto West, Luengo district, where my elder brother, Honorable Semju, is born or was born. I just, Right Honorable Speaker, I stand to move a motion seeking leave of the House to introduce a private members bill entitled the Consumer Protection Bill, the Consumer Protection and Management Bill.
Do we have a minister here of trade? Okay.
Right Honorable Speaker, this motion is moved under rules 56, 121, and 122 of our rules of procedure of Parliament. Whereas Article 79 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda empowers Parliament to make laws of any matter for the peace, order, development, and good governance of Uganda. And whereas Clause 4B of Article 94 of the Constitution and Rule 121 of the Rules of Procedure permit a member of Parliament to introduce a private member's bill. Aware that Rule 159B of the Rules of Procedure provides for specific functions of a committee of Parliament, including initiating any bill within the committee's area of competence. And further aware that Rule 123.2 is to the effect that a bill initiated by a committee shall be introduced by the chairperson of the committee in the same manner as a private member's bill. Cognizant of the fact that Article 21 of the Constitution provides for equal protection of the law and equality before and under the law in all spheres of political, economic, social, and cultural life in every other respect. Aware that a consumer protection law is necessary to offer protection of the law to consumers, not only against fraud and dishonesty in commercial dealings, but also oppressive bargains and qualitative deficient goods and services. Concerned that there is at present no legislation in Uganda which deals specifically with consumer protection, but rather provisions to deal with consumer protections are scattered in different laws and different ministries, departments, and agencies, leading to ineffective and insufficient protection of consumers. Concerned further that the failure to enact legislation which specifically provides for legal protection of consumers in Uganda will continue to undermine the quality of goods produced and supplied in Uganda and put consumers in a weaker position than those with whom they deal, depriving them of their money's worth and product value, and continue to escalate the violation of the right to equal protection under the law. Convinced that the enactment of a consumer protection law in Uganda will enable the setting of standards for quality, safety, and liability of goods and provisions of remedies actionable in law in case of non-compliance with those standards, as well as prohibit unfair or misleading trade practices. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Parliament grants the Committee of Trade, Tourism and Industries leave to introduce a private member's bill entitled the Consumer Protection and Management Bill, a draft of which is attached here too, and to order the publication of the said bill in preparation for its first reading. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the draft of the bill.
Please lay.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to move.
Is the motion seconded? Thank you. All seconded by Silwanyi. unopposed by the whole house, including doctor, even Obama, even the minister of tourism is even. Honorable Senator, would you want to speak a little about your motion? A little?
That's right, Honorable Speaker.
Switch on.
Right, Honorable Speaker, it is the moral duty of every business to protect the interests of its customers. Business organizations must follow ethical values, and any form of exploitation of the consumers, such as unfair trade practices, adulterations, and misleading advertisements must be avoided. In order to fulfill this moral duty, the business community should be provided with guidelines, laws, and regulations, and hence the need for this law on consumer protection.
For members, remember, he's just seeking for leave. He wants leave. So, and it is Jonathan. That is his maiden speech.
Madam Speaker,
thank
you very much for the indulgence.
Jonah.
I don't intend to disrupt him.
Okay.
But he rightfully cited some rules under Rule 122, Sub-Rule 1. The member is supposed to attach the draft of the bill. What has been circulated to members, apart from what he has laid here, it has not been circulated to members. I certainly don't have fire.
I have a copy. He has laid and we can have access to it.
Madam Speaker.
And I am very happy that Jonah is inducting the new member. That's a very good thing. No, he's still talking. Jonah is still talking.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the protection.
Madam Speaker, I will now follow your guidance and get a copy from you so that
I'm going to give you my copy. Thank you so much, Jonah. Honorable members, why don't we allow the young man to finish his thing?
Madam Speaker,
a man comes from your constituency.
I very much want to allow my MP, but the reason we have rules, Madam Speaker, is to guide all of us.
Okay, on rule what?
The rule he has cited 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If I can read 1, 2, 3, 2. A bill 1, 2, 3, 2. A bill initiated by a committee shall be introduced by the chairperson of the committee. The
Honorable member,
procedure issue, Madam Speaker, I am raising.
Honorable member,
whether this rule has now been suspended, that someone who's not a chairman can now confer.
Honorable member, the chairman, who is none other than Honorable Mpaka Mwine, one of the very good chairpersons of this, did delegate. He believes in empowering the young members of parliament. He believes in teaching people what to do. And he did delegate Honorable Sentai. And here is Honorable Sentai. Can you proceed?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the protection. I introduce myself as the area member of Honorable Semju, thinking that we will not interrupt me, since many consumers in Ruengo are being exploited due to the fact that we lack a law to protect them. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the guidance. Right Honorable Speaker, under the modern philosophy of marketing, the consumer is supposed to be the king, and business is expected to provide maximum possible satisfaction to consumers. But in reality, consumers are often exploited. In a country like Uganda, there is shortage of many products. A few companies just enjoy monopoly powers in the marketplace. A large majority of consumers are ignorant and illiterate.
Honorable, that's enough for us. We will discuss the rest when it comes to the House.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to move, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Is it seconded, Honorable Moijuche?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I stand to second the motion. Right Honorable Speaker, we are talking about standardization. We are talking about fairness in business. We are talking about remedies for the very many breaches in trade and fake products on the market. We are talking about redress for the aggrieved in business. Right Honorable Speaker, we have also had instances where ministers make directives, for example, to say, don't increase school fees. But because there is no law, the head teachers will go ahead and increase fees, and there's nothing you can do. We have had situations, Right Honorable Speaker, where hospitals increase fees, costs up to, you remember during COVID, up 200 million, but you cannot seek any redress. Right Honorable Speaker, you go to a petrol station and get bad fuel and your car knocks down, but you have no redress, you cannot go anywhere. Right Honorable Speaker, it's a liberal economy, but even in a liberal economy, we must have rules, we must have laws. Right Honorable Speaker, we have seen people being cheated. A woman goes to a shop, buys a jelly, it destroys her skin, but a jelly, yes, a Vaseline, but you cannot find redress anywhere. Right Honorable Speaker, compare government to come in, Right Honorable Speaker, and do something about this. We need a law. We need a law, Right Honorable Speaker, so that those who are grieved can seek redress. Right Honorable Speaker, we have had a situation where even government directs banks not to increase interest, loan officers not to go hunting for people during COVID times, but you know they would still go. There is no law. Right Honorable Speaker, provide for this fairness in business, provide for shields, provide for cushion and protection, promote fairness and equity. We believe we need this law, and therefore I stand to support the motion.
Thank
that
you.
the member be given leave so
Thank
that this bill is brought and we process it, and we have a good law in this country for business. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much. Attorney General, you want to second it?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to appreciate the proposals brought by my colleagues. They are for the good of the country. However, Right Honorable Speaker, as Attorney General's chambers, we have prepared a bill. I'm requesting, please hear me out. I'm requesting that you give us time to harmonize with the mover of this motion so that we do not have conflicting clauses. So that
Order, Madam Speaker. Order. Order, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, why don't you leave Attorney General to finish what he wants to say?
No sense.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me repeat. I fully support the proposal as brought by my colleagues. As the Attorney General's chambers, we have prepared a bill. We've not had the opportunity to look at the proposal presented by the Honorable
Order,
Sentai.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable,
We want to
Honorable,
request.
Honorable Attorney General,
Yes, right, Honorable.
is it a right for one to bring a private member's bill?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm not stopping his right.
No,
I'm requesting.
I am asking, is it a right?
Right, Honorable Speaker, let me repeat. We have prepared a bill. We are seeking time to harmonize with him.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
So that we have a harmonized bill.
Enos?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't know whether we're proceeding right. A few minutes ago, we were talking about the sports bill that was mishandled in a similar manner. It was brought by a private member. Government said it's going to take it up, and it has never brought it. Now, in the same manner, the Committee of Trade is bringing a bill, a very important bill to us. And the same government is saying they already have it in the pipeline. Are we proceeding right if we allow the minister to lie to us that he has the bill in the process?
Honorable members, first of all, one thing I need to correct under Rule 7 and 8, I suspend the Rule 1, 2, 3, 2. Honorable members, by powers vested on the Speaker under Rule 7 and 8, I suspend Rule 1, 2, 3, 2 of the chairman being the one to present, because I received a letter on Friday where the chairman was delegating Honorable Sentai to present the motion. However, I have had the concerns of the Land Attorney General. We have always had those stories. Those stories are always there. That is the same thing that happened on the sports bill. That is the same thing which happened on all the bills. Now we have, that's why I asked, do we have the Minister of Trade in this house? And now that we have the Minister of Trade, he's the only competent person to talk now. Minister, can you talk?
Thanks.
Honorable members, the minister is speaking. He was one of the seconders.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We are already preparing the competition and the consumer protection bill.
Speak.
Right, Honorable Speaker. We are already preparing the consumer protection bill, and we are ready to work with him.
Honorable members, have you heard what the minister said? The minister said that they have prepared the consumer protection bill, and they are working together with the mover, and they are ready to move together. Honorable members, I now put a question that the House grants leave to Honorable Muine Mpaka, who has delegated Honorable Sentai to introduce the Consumer Protection Bill 2022. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, I now direct the clerk to ensure that the member is accorded the necessary assistance in drafting the bill, sourcing the certificate of financial implication, and I am giving the committee 2 weeks to come back with the bill.
Item 3.2, the Alcohol Control Bill 2022.
Honorable Sarah.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Right Honorable Speaker, alcohol is consumed by many people. I am here to seek leave, Right Honorable Speaker, to introduce a bill entitled the Alcohol Control Bill. Whereas Article 79 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda empowers Parliament to make laws on any matter for the peace, order, and development and good governance. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to have order in the House. And whereas Article 94(4)(b)
Honorable members, kindly listen to Honorable Sarah. I know all of those ones who are talking are the ones who take a lot. But what Honorable Sarah is doing is the control.
Madam Speaker, we shall not stop anyone from consuming alcohol, but we only want it regulated. And whereas Article 94(4)(b) of and Rule 121(1) of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament give rights to a member to move a private member's bill, noting that as a result of passage of time and the changing circumstances, the current legislation regulating the manufacture, sale, and consumption of alcoholic drinks, namely the Liquor Act, Cap 93, the Portable Spirits Act, Cap 97, and the Nguli Manufacturing and Licensing Act, Cap 86, all enacted in the 1960s, have become obsolete and do not address the current circumstances and challenges caused by the excessive consumption of alcoholic drinks. Concerned that the harmful use of alcoholic drinks causes a high burden of disease and has significant social and economic consequences, and often results in harm to other people, such as family members, friends, co-workers, and the greater society. Recalling that the World Health Organization Global Status Report on Alcohol and Health of 2018 ranked Uganda among the top alcohol per capita consuming countries in Africa, and has been ranked the leading per capita consumer of alcohol in East Africa. Noting that government of Uganda has the responsibility to protect its citizens from the harmful use of alcoholic drinks, and aware that there is a causal relationship between harmful use of alcoholic drinks and a range of mental and behavioral disorders, including alcohol dependency and other non-communicable diseases such as liver cirrhosis, some cancers, and cardiovascular diseases. Concerned that a variety of factors which affect the levels and patterns of alcoholic drinks consumption and the magnitude of the alcohol-related problems in populations have been identified at individual and societal levels. Societal factors include the level of economic development, culture, social norms, availability of alcohol, the implementation and enforcement of alcohol policies. Aware that the Ministry of Health in 2019 formulated the National Alcohol Control Policy that guides actions by all relevant stakeholders to reduce harmful use of alcohol. Convinced that there is need to repeal the Liquor Act, Cap 93, the Portable Spirit Act, Cap 97, and the Nguli Act, Cap 86, to enact a comprehensive piece of legislation that contains provisions that address the prevailing circumstances regarding the consumption and challenges caused by the excessive use of alcoholic drinks, particularly to regulate the manufacture, importation, sale, and consumption of alcoholic drinks, to license persons trading in alcoholic drinks and premises where alcoholic drinks are sold, to prohibit the sale of alcoholic drinks to specified persons, to regulate the promotion and advertisement of alcoholic drinks, to create public awareness on the dangers of the excessive consumption of alcoholic drinks, to rehabilitate counsel, and treat persons who have developed mental challenges arising from excessive use of alcoholic drinks. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this House grants me leave to introduce a private member's bill for an act entitled the Alcoholic Control Bill. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sarah. Is the motion seconded? Seconded. It is seconded by Lucy Okoti, Dr. Namara, by Nekalit, by Amos, Enos, by the whole House. Honorable Sarah, can you speak about your motion in 2 minutes?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, since time immemorial, government has been grappling with the need to regulate the manufacture, sale, access, and consumption of alcohol in Uganda. The current legislations have their weaknesses, Right Honorable Speaker, and we need stringent measures or penalties to control the consumption of alcohol and also its production in the country. Honorable members, we are not stopping people from drinking. All we are saying is regulating the sale, the production, consumption. There must be hours. People can't drink from morning till evening, Right Honorable Speaker. Legally, Right Honorable Speaker, the manufactured...
Honorable members, can you listen to the member? Can we have decorum? Now, for you who are talking, I know you are the drunkards. They are saying you drink, but don't overdrink.
Yes.
Now, listen to the member. If you don't want, you will say nay. Okay?
Right Honorable Speaker.
But go ahead with your drinking if you want.
Right Honorable Speaker, legally manufactured alcohol constitutes just 39% of the alcoholic drinks in the markets. The rest of the alcohol in the market is unlicensed with sources with its production from different sources, and some of it with very high ethanol that has had even a devastating effect on the health of the people. And recently, Right Honorable Speaker, you all heard about the problem which was presented here from West Nile. Some people died, people have gone blind because alcohol is produced by unlicensed people. Right Honorable Speaker, the East African Conference on Alcohol was held in Arusha in 2012. And at this conference, partner states were urged to control the consumption and production of alcohol. Countries within the EAC have moved. Uganda as a country came up with the alcohol control policy, which is in place. And following this policy, there is need for us to have a law. Right Honorable Speaker, on the health aspect, 40% of the patients in Butabika National Referral Hospital are there due to alcohol and drugs or substance abuse. 55% of these patients, Right Honorable Speaker, use alcohol as their primary drug of abuse. And various studies, Right Honorable Speaker, have clearly linked alcohol to partner violence, the road traffic accidents that we have been seeing around, and injuries, and the range of NCDs like the mental health, liver, and heart diseases, all these related to alcohol. Right Honorable Speaker, it is costly to treat non-communicable diseases, but also we should be aware that government loses, just at Mulago Hospital alone, over 120 million shillings in treating accidents arising out of borders, and most of these are associated with drink driving, Right Honorable Speaker. 5% of the deaths in this country, Right Honorable Speaker, are linked to alcohol, according to the World Health Organization report of 2014. And Right Honorable Speaker, I want to conclude by stating that regulating the production, the packaging, the sale of alcohol will result in economic benefits for this country, the community, and the families as a whole, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, in the interest of time, I beg to move. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable members, the second Honorable Biga, 1 minute.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to second this motion. Right Honorable Speaker, having come from West Nile, recently we lost a big number of our people to 5 cities. And we had also a number of people who took Adrico vodka and they lost eyesight and many perished. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to allude to the fact that many heavy alcohol consumers do not take care of their families. It's a major source of domestic violence, failure to pay school fees and take care of their children and wives. Right Honorable Speaker, most of us here take care of people who take heavy alcohol and do not take care of themselves. Right Honorable Speaker, we are not saying no one should consume alcohol. We are only saying, can we regulate it? Can you take a certain percentage? Right Honorable Speaker, this House passed a law to regulate cigarettes. That people should be able.
Order.
There's an
Right
order.
Honorable Speaker,
Ross, there's an order.
whereas I support this bill, this proposed bill, and therefore I am in for the motion, I want to know whether it is in order for the Honorable Rosa Biga to sexualize this bill by saying that people fail to take care of children and wives. And what happens to the wives who drink?
Honorable Medal Segona, my chairperson of PAC, it is a fact that when people drink, they abandon families. It is a fact. It is also a fact that when you men drink, you even fail to perform.
We perform better.
Can you finalize?
Yeah, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you for that quality information. Right Honorable Speaker, we have evidence in hospitals that many people who consume a lot of alcohol have given birth to children who have health challenges. Therefore, it is very imperative upon this House to regulate alcohol. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Viga, Honorable Sarah, Lucy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice in seconding the motion as moved by Honorable Sarah Opendi, and I want to thank her for that. Madam Speaker, the current Nguli Act was brought when we had limited spirits and alcohol. Right now we have all kinds of brands, and they are packaged to even suit the least people, the poorest of the poor. They are pocket friendly. You are finding children as young as 10 years even affording to buy this alcohol. They can go with 500 shillings and they're able to buy alcohol. I believe if we support this motion and go ahead with this bill, we will actually cure this problem. Madam Speaker, where I come from in Amuro, the young people, there is a particular brand. They call it now, allow me to use and then I will translate. They call it kadeng chikdeng. It means, even if I swell, let me swell. Because when you drink this, actually they swell, their cheeks they are swollen, they think that is being healthy, they don't know they're actually dying. Kadeng chikdeng, that is it. So this is what our young people are actually drinking now. This is what our young people are drinking because it is pocket friendly. They can walk to any shop and buy. It was only Gulu district that tried to regulate these small sachets, but other districts have failed, and I'm sure with the coming in of this law, we will be able to regulate and control the abuse of alcohol, especially among the young people. Thank you so much. I second the motion.
Thank you so much, Government Chief Whip. Honorable members, this is not for a debate for now. They are just introducing the bill. They are seeking for leave to introduce. Attorney General, you have something to say?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. A colleague here is alleging that I have a factory of producing alcohol. I do not, but please allow me to say this. I have looked at the motion and the bill attached, the proposed bill. However, I strongly believe that this bill offends the provisions of Article 93 of the Constitution, which is a restriction on matters of financial implication. If I may read specifically the provisions that offend Article 93 of the Constitution. The following, therefore, the private members bill should not make a proposal that offends or that creates a charge on the consolidated fund.
Read for us in the bill.
Yes, I'm going to the bill.
Part which
Clause 4 of the bill, providing for designation of a licensing authority.
Procedure, Madam
Part
Speaker.
6 of the bill.
Yes,
Procedure.
there's a procedure matter by a land person like you.
Madam Speaker, this is not the time to cry about the implications of the bill, the consolidated fund, because the member is seeking leave of this house to go and prepare her bill, which includes seeking for a certificate of financial implication. The government could say it is okay, we shall take care of the implications. So that will be later, not now. What the member seeks is to seek our permission to go and prepare her bill, run up and down in the Ministry of Finance, Attorney General's chambers, to get the authority, bring for the bill for the first reading. So is it procedure right for the Attorney General to raise up on a matter of financial certificate of financial implication at this stage?
Honorable Segona.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I know that my young brother, the Honorable Afuzi, who I went to school with, actually he came following me. He's a good lawyer. Unfortunately, he has not addressed his mind to the procedures and the processes of Parliament. Because the government, as Honorable Baka says, and I'm very happy my young brother Baka Mugabe, Honorable, has stated it clearly. The processes of Parliament require that you first seek leave. Then you go for a certificate of financial implications, not the reverse. why I chose to rise up on a point of procedure is, first of all, to inquire whether it is procedurally right for the Honorable Attorney General to sit far away from the front bench, and that whenever he rises, we see him as a stranger. But also, in particular with relation to this, whether the Attorney General is in order to misguide as opposed to guiding this House by choosing to read the law selectively. One, only looking at the Constitution mechanically, which is not one of the canons of interpreting the Constitution. Two, ignoring the provisions of the Public Finance Management Act, as well as the rules of this House.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Honorable Baka and Honorable Segona. And of course, absolutely, Honorable Attorney General is acting like a robot. That when they say, you say no. If it comes, you say no. For instance, if we are to look at designation of a licensing authority, for a purpose of this act, a licensing authority shall be a minister. Don't we have ministers? Will it have an impact on Article 94? No. You're speculating. And for you, it's like your instructions not to allow any bill, but we shall allow it. I now put a question that the House grants leave to Honorable Achen Saro Pendi to introduce the Alcohol Control Bill 2022. Those in favor say the control and nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, for the support. As we said, we have no capacity to stop anybody from drinking, but government has capacity to regulate. And I think we all want order in our communities. Domestic violence is on the increase because of alcohol consumption. People can drink, but after certain hours, after working. So thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. The bill is attached to the motion. So there is no point for me to lay it here.
Honorable
Thank
members,
you very much.
I direct the clerk to ensure that the member is accorded all the necessary assistance in drafting the bill and seeking for a certificate of financial implication that the Attorney General is already talking of. We are going to do that. Honorable members, we had an election throughout the whole continent of all chairpersons of accountability committees. And in that election, our chairpersons of accountability committees equally participated. They were part of the conference where an election of a chairperson was conducted. Fortunately enough, one of our chairpersons was voted in unopposed, came in unopposed. So we now have a chairperson of African Organization of Accountability Committees in the whole of Africa. And that is none other than Honorable Segona Medad. Our own, we want to congratulate you and you make us proud. Congratulations, and we thank God for that. Next item.
Item 4, statement by Minister on combating foot and mouth disease.
Honorable members, as you may recall, on Thursday, 3rd, Honorable Nakut raised an issue concerning foot and mouth disease in Karamoja and other Karamoja sub-region and other neighboring countries, regions of the area. An attempt to be responded by the minister were futile, and we needed a minister like Honorable Ravirama who knows about cows. Honorable Ravirama, please give us an update.
Right, Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues. On behalf of Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, I wish to respond to the questions raised about the status and the actions of government on controlling animal disease, specifically FMD. We have the report. For purposes of this report, I wish to say that we have uploaded this report on the members' iPads, and we have an introduction where we are talking about how FMD affects the animals and its economic consequences, how it is spread, and wish to state the status. From January, October 2022, 22 districts reported FMD outbreak. These include Ajumani, Amur, Bukedia, Uganda, Jinja, Karungu, Kapchorwa, Kayunga, Chirhura, Kwen, Chotera, Yantonde, Masindi, Mpiji, Nakapiripirit, Nakasongora, Napak, Ntungamo, Sembabure, and Tororo. It is also important to note that the quarantine restrictions were lifted in 11, which is 50% of the affected districts since then. Action taken by government. In Uganda, FMD is prevented and prevention and control is achieved through animal movement control, quarantine restriction, strategic ring vaccination, and awareness creation campaigns. With regard to vaccination, given its cost implication, the strategy adopted by the ministry is to conduct strategic ring vaccination where an outbreak is reported. Ring vaccination entails vaccinating all the immediate herd surrounding the affected herd so that the disease can be contained and eventually controlled without causing serious socioeconomic consequences. Colleagues, the success of ring vaccination hinges on the timely reporting of the diseases. It is therefore important that the disease outbreak is reported as early as possible so that measures of prevention can be instituted in timely manner and cost effectively, since only surrounding herds will be vaccinated to prevent the spread of disease to other areas. We have insisted on this strategy because we don't get enough doses to vaccinate the national herd. You must be aware that Uganda has almost 17 million heads of cattle, 17.4 heads of goats, 5 million sheep, 4.5 pigs, and all these are susceptible animals to FMD. So because of limited resources, we came up with this strategy. When it is reported early, this strategy works. But we are looking forward when we have enough resources to make sure that we do it and cover the entire national herd. Currently, a combination of animal movement regulation through quarantine restriction and ring vaccination remains the most appropriate approaches for FMD control in Uganda. Colleagues, the following action have been undertaken to contain current FMD outbreak in these affected areas, and these include: 1, institution of quarantine restriction at sub-county level and, and areas within 20 kilometers radius to prevent the spread of disease. This involves prohibition of movement of cattle, goats, sheep, pigs, their products and byproducts from, to, through, and within affected areas. Livestock markets, slaughter places including butcheries and animal show within the affected sub-counties were also closed. This is premised on the prevention is better than cure adage. The ministry plans to vaccinate the susceptible livestock in the affected 22 districts listed above with 200 doses of FMD vaccine expected in the country this week on 10th November 22. The next consignment is 1.6 million doses expected in the country in 2 months' time. You must observe that this is not adequate, but once deployed effectively, it does prevent FMD to some extent. The ministry has also embarked on creating awareness among the masses. Sensitization meetings were also undertaken by both technical and political leaders from the ministry and district. This was intended to make sure that all stakeholders adhere and comply to quarantine restriction and other disease control measures to prevent spread of FMD. Farmers and producers were also encouraged to implement biosecurity measures to prevent the introduction and spread of FMD virus. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, in efforts to prevent and control of the spread of FMD, the ministry is facing a number of challenges, and these include inadequate funding, inadequate diagnostic services at regional district veterinary laboratories to allow timely and detection responses to disease outbreak, inadequate disease surveillance and outbreak investigations. Surveillance provides information within critical and establishing early warning system to able detect disease early enough to allow timely responses to be carried out. This is constrained in inadequate funding, is constrained by inadequate funding and logistic support. I, however, want to inform the House that in an effort to address this, we are putting up almost completion a diagnostic center at Guatafai Stock Farm in Nwaya district to take care of northern Uganda, and another one at the Sanga field station to take care of western and midwest, while the central and eastern parts of the country continue to use Entebbe. We are also planning to put another one in Soroti and another one in Waima in the near future. Abandonment of roles by local district administrators to mobilize communities to comply to quarantine restriction by the ministry. We have had a challenge in some leaders, the Right Honorable Speaker, when we put quarantine restriction for them, they are interested in revenue. They break the quarantine restriction. Others don't report, and this causes a lot of problem and actually fuel the spread of the disease. Conclusion, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, MAIF wishes to assure the country that we are doing our best within a limited resource to fight animal diseases and in particular FMD, and request the support of all of you, honorable colleagues. I would also like to urge the political leadership in this country to have a united front in creating awareness on the impact of animal diseases, revenue foregone, and the importance of adhering to the guidelines of animal disease and control provided by the veterinary competent authority. Thank you for your attention, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues.
Thank you for the statement. And the next time you come back, we'll want the action taken, especially for those areas where the cows are really dying. We'll allow a debate for only 15 minutes. Honorable Second, do you also have cows?
That's correct, Right Honorable Speaker.
Let me start with Asimwe,
Asim, actually.
the cattle keeper.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the Honorable Minister for the elaborate report, but he left out something of interest. He mentioned what he plans to do with managing the disease, and then he listed challenges, but you never told us how you plan to meet these challenges. Specifically, when you mention funding for vaccination, I'm aware that we are putting up a vaccination plant, vaccine production plant in Gayaza, but you have not telling us how far you've reached and how much support we can give you as Parliament to see this project to its completion, because I believe it's one way of helping us to resolve this issue once and for all. Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I respect Honorable Ruamirama, but there are a lot of challenges in the ministry, Honorable Minister. FMD, we have failed to control our borders. The neighboring countries are a source of this problem. And for quite some time, I think we're talking about it in the 8th Parliament, the 9th Parliament. At the same time, we have failed to control our own technical staff. Actually, when you talk about the revenues, you forget, Honorable Minister, tell us about the corruption. When you put quarantine, people do it out of benefits on their own to neglect it. So, Honorable Minister, you need really to work very hard on your staff. They have no respect for whatever you talk. Honorable Minister, other than the FMD, it is very shaming in this country that we have had a problem of ticks. Actually, Madam Speaker, when you look at the drugs on market, actually fake throughout. You wonder if we have a government in control, we don't have a government in control. Otherwise, I respect you, Honorable Wamirama. You have done a lot for this country, but your ministry has a problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Dr. Abraham Samat is my name. Right Honorable Speaker, I worked as a district veterinary officer, and I'm actually a professional in the field of veterinary. Year in, year out, the issue of FMD has persisted. Not that we don't have competent staff to deal with it, but the truth of the matter is that all those approaches that the Honorable Minister has suggested in the report actually do work. The major challenge that we have in Uganda has been pointed out by Honorable, was just that that in Uganda, we have porous borders. You look at a place like Karamoja, look at a place like Kataku, where FMD is very prevalent at the moment. And then even other areas, there is no effective control of animal movement. And that is already a big problem in Uganda. Secondly, when we look at a country like Kenya, which is also a member of the East African community, Kenya has established a factory that manufactures FMD vaccine. And they have a routine program as far as control of FMD is concerned. Uganda as a country is a member of the East African community. It has all the resources. It is our cardinal duty to allocate sufficient resources to ensure that we equally establish a factory like Kenya. And then we manufacture sufficient doses of FMD, and the situation will be controlled. In my district where I was, I remember I worked for 20 years. There was no outbreak of FMD. So the stuff is there. We need so many doses of FMD vaccine if we are to talk of bringing this thing to an end. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, if we can recall, for the last 3 years, government has been reporting on fast tracking of a vaccine for foot and mouth disease for the last 3 years. And despite the allocation that we gave, there was a financial allocation that was given for that in the 2020-2021 financial year. And the House approved 25 billion shillings. And the supplementary expenditure number 1 to finance the shortfalls of this vaccine. To date, we don't know at what level those vaccines are. We don't know whether the vaccines are working. We don't know. And this was aimed at getting 4 million doses. I don't know whether we even have a single dose. I'm coming.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want just to immediately follow up on the issue of control of animal diseases in this country. I want to say for a fact that 80% of the animal diseases in Uganda are caused by ticks. And these are very easy to control. There is an elaborate veterinary structure in this country. We should be able to take care of all this. You find there are directors, there are commissioners, there are etc., etc. What I'm really wondering is, why isn't surveillance done effectively? Though the minister has listed as one of the strategies that they're undertaking. I remember vividly, last financial year in December, the ministry submitted a supplementary request for buying doses of vaccines. I categorically in that committee meeting, budget committee meeting, stressed that you are defining a cattle corridor, which comprises of only central districts in Uganda. But we are talking about, you should be talking about all districts that actually have livestock. But then for the information of this house, 20% of the livestock enlisted, especially cattle, are actually in Karamoja. And I said you should actually plan for even other districts other than what you define as a cattle corridor. And for that matter, Madam Speaker, I would love this country now to define the cattle corridor, not to include only districts within a certain part of the country. Because when you plan for only those, you leave out many other parts of the country. So I would want this house actually to put it to the minister that what you have listed as your strategies are just generic strategies. We shouldn't come when you are reacting to this issue. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sagona.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I want first to associate with my colleagues that have spoken on this subject before, particularly about the border controls. Secondly, the development of our own vaccine. But I wish to add, first of all, I want to thank my brother, Honorable Mirama. But I wish to add, I think part of the problem that he keeps lamenting about resources arises out of people who want free things. For example, when you have banana weavers in this country, does the government provide drugs for that? You have some of the richest men and women in this country. Someone can afford to have 1,000 or 10,000 heads of cattle, but he's also waiting for free things from government. Then the next day you come here and tell us government does not have the money. I have interacted with the farmers because I'm one of them. For the information of the Right Honorable Speaker, I wanted to know. I actually have more cows than the Honorable Simwe. But the point I'm making, Right Honorable Speaker, I have interacted with farmers. Quite a significant number of farmers in this country are willing to pay for their own vaccines. All they need is government to regulate and guide them, especially on the quality. In this case, we would be catering for a few farmers who are not in a position to pay for the vaccines. That's point number one. Point number two, when shall we learn to develop our own? Just last month, the minister, his senior colleague, I think launched a project of vaccines for ticks. We have the capacity, but we do not invest in those people who are able to develop such. If you look at the case of Dr. Gwang, the one of Covidex, I think after so many months, it took the intervention of the president to say, we must help this man because we have a crisis. When shall we realize that we have a crisis in the farming industry? And finally, Right Honorable Speaker, a lot has been said about our government officials, that they benefit, they trade, in this case, crisis of FMD. They go, they block other people from selling, they go and buy those cows, then they sell at a huge profit. There is an explanation you can give that farmers in a particular area will not sell their cows for a whole year. You are promoting this business of trying to beat the system by corrupting your extension workers, by corrupting the sub-county enforcement people. Why? Because it is a problem that persists for long. How do you want them to survive? You have extension workers. What is their duty? What do they do? How do they escape from those sub-counties you have quarantined? So, because it takes long for you to solve a problem, you force the people to create avenues of beating the system. Nonetheless, I thank you for attempting to explain to us.
Thank you so much. And really what Honorable Second is saying is correct. Why don't we empower our own local people who want to produce vaccine? There is somebody called Tumusime Enos, who is producing medicine. Why don't we support those kind of people? And you know, you're teaching us to be over-dependent on government. If you gave us the right medicine, if you told us this is the right medicine, we could be able to buy our own medicine for our cows. By the time you start looking after cows like Samuel there, then you're a rich person. So you need to help the industry and ensure we plan well for this livestock industry, for it to manage it well. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And thank you, Honourable Minister, for the statement that you have provided with us. Madam Speaker, foot and mouth disease is sporadic disease. Once an animal has been infected with foot and mouth disease, you don't have a medicine to treat, but you only manage those symptoms until such a time when the animal can recover. The only way for you to control is to do vaccinations.
And vaccinations of that kind, for the foot and mouth disease to occur in an area, it needs extension workers, veterinary officers to do surveillance and be vigilant on the ground. Whenever they spot any kind of symptom of that nature, you take action immediately. Before, when Ministry for Veterinary was emerged, together with Ministry of Agriculture, veterinary people were so active to the extent that they could reach down to villages and to farmers, and they even go as far as sensitizing farmers to take care of their animals. But from the time when veterinary section has been put together with Ministry of Agriculture, the spirit of that, the urge of doing that work died down. So it is a matter of policy also for us to consider and evaluate how are they doing. Maybe let me a minute, no, only just one. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me move away from that point, Madam Speaker. Foot and mouth disease also attacks and infects wild animals. Animals like buffaloes, those cloven animals, they are the one that harbor even foot and mouth disease. Now, in this country, we have wild animals that are roaming around. They move even to beyond the area which has been gazetted for them. When you talk about Napak, Napak is nearer to Kidepo. So that means all the other districts neighboring those game parks, if wildlife authority cannot take a step to control, masses we shall do ring vaccinations or quarantine. The wild animals, the wild pigs, the buffaloes will still bring foot and mouth disease pathogens and affect us. Thank you.
Thank you. At least we don't have wild animals in Bukedea, but we have foot and mouth disease, and which must be controlled. Aisha Lee.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to address myself to challenge number 5. The minister has identified that abandonment of roles by local district administrators to mobilize communities to comply with quarantine restrictions by the ministry is another problem. Right Honorable Speaker, this is not a small challenge. We have just given right member to go and come up with a law on alcohol content or alcoholism. These are things that local governments previously worked on, but now you'll find that local governments have almost abandoned the roles they used to play. There should be a big question, why? I wonder whether the minister has gone ahead to find out why local governments have abandoned their roles. We cannot be everywhere. Government cannot be everywhere. It is the local governments to help us. If they are not helping us, have we mobilized them? Why haven't we mobilized them? We have actually demobilized them by taking away the little money they used to get, the roles they do, they've taken away. We have actually demobilized local government. Right Honorable Speaker, if it had been a rebel gang to cross, we are talking about porous borders. If it's a rebel gang crossing, the information will come. Why about these issues? The information is not coming up. It means people have not seen the importance of it. Once they see the importance of it, they will comply. Can we mobilize them and move along with them other than giving them directives? Because mature people don't want to be directed. They want to be mobilized, understand, and move along with us. I think that will help us if we mobilize them.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I have listened to the minister submit. The fact that we have had this case repeatedly shows something is not done right. I've seen in other countries for disease control and prevention, they have put in place elaborate animal movement permitting system. Here in Uganda, you see all LC1s can actually issue animal permits for people to move with animals in the village. What qualification do they actually have to decide that a particular animal can move from one place to another? If you go to the places where they sell vaccines, there are reports about poor quality vaccines being sold, counterfeit products.
the ministry is doing very little to control quality of vaccines that come in the market. I would therefore implore the minister to ensure that the issue of vaccines should not just be to create economic disparities, because I've seen a lot of people with the ranches are the ones who benefit from these vaccines free of charge. The poor people who should have benefited from this kind of things do not benefit. So it's a whole system issue within the ministry that is not being addressed. Therefore, I encourage you to look at digital systems that are now being used to manage things like that. Imagine we centralized animal movement system and they are designated issuance of these permits. How much more would we actually make as a country from issuance of animal permits? There's something which is not being done right, and I think the minister should go back and do a conference with these technical people and get to the bottom of the problem, building on the experiences of all these people who have submitted. I thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm the Shadow Minister for Agriculture. Allow me to inform the House that the mandate to control communicable diseases in animals is a mandate of government, as it is in the other side of the human health. The private people don't buy polio vaccines. That is a mandate of government. They're not involved in that. On this side, every disease that is communicable, including FMD, is a mandate of government to control that disease, including availing vaccines. Number two, Right Honorable Speaker, we have issues in FMD control, mostly around movements and the variability of vaccines. We have issues with porous borders. If we are going to design an efficient control system, I'm the Shadow Minister, Agriculture.
You did veterinary?
I'm a veterinary doctor and I'm a Shadow Minister, Agriculture.
Okay, I've added you 1 minute because of veterinary.
Thank you, thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm proposing that if we are going to control the movements around the borders of animals, we must come up with an East African policy so that we do it together. And also the vaccination programs must be done together. Right Honorable Speaker, we put very little money in the animal sector, including research. We put less than 2% of our budget in the research of the animal sector. 98% goes to crop. And we're asking them to produce vaccines. We reached Namlonge, they have done a good job. They are ready to go for production, but where is the money? We have had the minister say they are going to only to procure 2 million doses of vaccines out of the 17 million heads of cattle in this country. We need to inject enough resources in this sector so that we can be able to help the farmer. That is very, very important, very, very crucial. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to re-centralize regulation, the control of diseases in this country. We have fragmented the law, the LOC 5s, they are involved in the control of disease, the sub-county chairpersons, they are issuing movement permits. You cannot control disease that way. The disease must be controlled from the center. We need to re-centralize veterinary health services in this country so that we can access international markets. We have invested a lot in the infrastructure.
Ross, then Andrew.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the minister for availing himself today. Right Honorable Speaker, you did mention here that there are some issues that cannot only be on the floor of Parliament. We could go to the relevant ministers, but Honorable Minister, I've been to your office 15 times. I've written, I've left notes, I've left my phone number. I don't know what next.
Specifically to Honorable Ravirama.
Yes, him.
Because I am aware.
There are three. I have written to all. I've failed to get any one of them. When you meet them in the corridors, they say we shall get back to you. But but for him specifically, as the lead minister, I've really tried. Honestly, it's difficult to reach Honorable Minister.
Honorable Ravirama, look for Rose after.
Thank you. Right, Honorable Speaker, we had cows that should have been flushed out of Terego. These were Balalu cows. The Minister for Internal Affairs did go to Terego. Instead of flushing the cows out, he flushed them in, and they went with foot and mouth disease. Our indigenous goat-like cows are perishing like nobody's business. And we used to have technocrats who will stamp meat first. But this time I can assure you, Right Honorable Speaker, meat is never stamped. People slaughter any corner, dead meat is eaten, no control. I would suggest NADS. NADS should really come back. I don't know what's happening to NADS. When we had NADS so vivid with money, NADS was our savior in Terego. But now NADS is nowhere. I'll kindly advise that NADS should be given more money to rescue the people of Terego. Thank you.
Thank you, Koluo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want also to add my voice. First of all, by agreeing with what the minister suggested, my brother, Dr. Isamat, has alluded to a very important point about uncontrolled movement of cattle, more especially in Katakwi and Karamoja. Honorable Speaker, the dry season is coming up. The problem which is in the cattle corridor is that a majority of the valley dams are totally silted. I am not a veterinary doctor, but I am a farmer. You will find that cattle are struggling to get water from a small valley dam which has very little water. I want to humbly request the minister to open up these valley dams. Like, for example, in my area, there used to be a very big valley dam called Achuna, but totally silted. And lastly, if there is a way, we could find a way of getting a healthy team, like village healthy teams or village veterinary teams, to sensitize the local farmers about the dangers of these ticks. I think it can help to control this disease. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I think what you need to do is to use the available funds to do mass vaccination of all the cows, all the cattle. And that would help us a lot. Remember, somebody said this sickness cannot be treated. You only need to vaccinate the animals against it. And I think that's what you need to do. Ensure that whatever resources that you have, we use those resources for that. And remember very well that once we lose our cows, you find some people like Ubua has only 5. And if he loses the 5, then he will become more poorer. That will embed the development of people of Uganda. Much as when we have our own cattle, we can be able to educate our children, we can do everything with our cows. And it's really very important. Some of us who have grown up with such, it's a very important thing that you need to embark on it. Yes, anything you want to say? You have a rejoinder? Yes, please. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. and honorable colleagues. First of all, I must appreciate your contribution and advice. And I will give answers to most of the questions. I'll start with you, Right Honorable Speaker. I am going to direct Dr. Admoon Rose, who is the Commissioner Animal Health, to attend to your concerns. And I keep monitoring to ensure that they are addressed. Number two is the funding for vaccines. We are actually in the final stages of completing our own vaccination plan for FMD, for tick vaccine, and also for swine fever. But we don't have enough resources to fast track this process. I have invited members of the Agricultural Committee and some of the members from Harding community and taken them through our process in Namulonge. And the Shadow Minister has been a regular person following up what is happening in our research at Namulonge for livestock. So we are actually not looking only at procuring vaccine, but we are also in the process of manufacturing our own vaccine. Yes, we don't have enough money, like most of you have said, but we have put money to research, although not much, but we are on course, Right Honorable. And last weekend we launched the final trials for the anti-tick vaccine in the country, and the first ever in East Africa, actually in Africa. Honorable Kagwera raised a very fundamental issue. The diseases do not know boundaries. We call them actually transboundary diseases. And so was the Honorable Segona. So the issue of transboundary, we are trying to go through East African framework. Originally, we had Kenya and Rwanda harmonizing with us. We have now South Sudan on board. We have DRC on board. We are moving so that we can actually harmonize, like Honorable Dr. Wanka said, so that when the policy is harmonized, when vaccine is done on both sides. When there's an outbreak the other side, on the borderline, we also the same. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of ticks, the tick resistance is being addressed through vaccine. Yes, it is true that most of diseases are tick-borne diseases, but over a period of time, Africa and the third world, we are consumers of these acaricides. So we have invested in research so that we can actually find a home solution. Honorable Segona, vaccine, I have actually answered this one. Right Honorable Speaker, why not support our own people? We are doing so, Right Honorable Speaker. The person you are referring to, there is a paper we are prepared for cabinet to be supported with $400,000 so that we can do trials in different parts of the country to ensure that actually we have a home solution. Honorable Amos, the wild animals keep disease. Yes, we are very much aware. And then when I was saying that we actually ring vaccinate, we vaccinate regularly in high risk areas, transit routes, and affected areas. The high risks are the areas nearing game parks, like Ngoya, where we have a prevalence of so many elephants crossing and wild animals. When we have substantial amount of doses, we make sure that every 6 months, those areas we vaccinate. Transit routes like Wakiso. Any route entering Kampala goes through Wakiso. So it is important that Wakiso gets a lot of regular vaccination, because you come from west, you enter through Wakiso. You come from east, you enter through Wakiso. So that the high risk areas I was talking about. Honorable Naruri Kabanda, we need to mobilize the local government. We do. If you have been following me, most of the time I'm in the field with those district leadership. We are trying, but we still have a challenge, which Honorable the shadow minister raised, which I'm going to talk about at the end. But we are not actually dictating, we mobilize them. I also want to inform you, Right Honorable Speaker, that out of that money you gave us here, we actually facilitate veterinary doctors to vaccinate as opposed to charging farmers.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, through the Speaker, for giving way. I am only seeking clarification on how best you are going to do the mobilization when, for example, in the case of Adjumani, for the whole district, we have only 2 staff. And we have heeded to government advice to increase on animal production. There is that fatigue because of the thin number of staff. And 2, you raise the issue of late reporting. I agree with you, that was the case with Adjumani. So how are you going to address the 2 issues to ensure that we enhance on the mobilization? Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and the Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, the issue of recruitment at local government really is a district issue. And we have recommended, especially for vets and entomologists, where the economic activities engaged by the farmers require. Now, for issues of monitoring and chain of command, we have put up regional veterinary officers. We are now facilitating them, Right Honorable Speakers, to make sure that they keep monitoring in those regions. So we are actually trying to address, and the request by members of parliament from Northern Uganda has been responded. We are putting up, we actually near completion, Right Honorable Speaker, we have put up a modern diagnostic center at Gotafai Farm near in Inwaya district near Pakwachi Bridge. So we are trying to do everything possible to make sure that actually we control animal diseases. Honorable Anguzu Dines, LC1 giving permits is illegal and it's not by law. Nobody is allowed to give permits. Actually, if an LC gives a movement permit, should be arrested. Please, I'm telling you the law, the only competent person authorized is the veterinary officer. And veterinary officers are also restricted. They cannot give international permit. They cannot give regional permits. The regional permit is by commission.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And I would like to thank the Minister for giving way. Yes, it is true that it's really the veterinary who should give those permits. That is technically. But when it comes to about theft, then usually it is the LCs, because some other people steal from an area and move. So if you have a movement order from an LC to clear you that you have not stolen, then you move. But my point of clarification is, if you have just 2, 3 veterinary assistants and veterinary doctor in a very big area, how do you reach, and especially the ordinary people down there, how do you reach these veterinary doctors or veterinary assistants to be able to get necessary help? Doctor, I would also, Honorable Minister, I would also like to ask you to clarify on this privatization. You decided to privatize, and so the ordinary people cannot get the services that they require from the doctors or the veterinary assistant. Do you bother to try and do research to find if people are getting help from those privatization, privatizing everything? Thank you.
Honorable
Right,
Minister,
Honorable Speaker, this is something new.
Honorable Minister, can you summarize?
Yes, I am. Right, Honorable Speaker. First of all, we liberalize it. We never privatize the veterinary. Well, in a way, it is private, but we still have a public responsibility through our veterinary district officers. So it's not true that we government is neglecting the lower people. This LC1 stamp is supposed to prove ownership. It's not a movement permit. It's from the village to say that the Honorable Wamarama is the owner of cow number this and this. Then the veterinary officer on that strength gives the movement permit. Now, Honorable Wanika.
Is that meant to reduce the safety of cows?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, right, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Wanika, transborder, I've explained. East African policy, I agree with you. Recentralization, yes. We are trying to work with the Ministry of Local Government to find out how we can control effectively. We have some control where the chairman and the cow are compliant, and we have a challenge where cows and chairpersons are not really responsible. We are trying to harmonize with the Ministry of Local Government to see how we can do it. But in the meantime, we have set up regional veterinary officers. I think you are aware. But I agree with you on those interventions. Finally, Honorable Obiga Rose, I'm sorry you have missed me when you need me. I'm going to make sure that I'm available and take interest to address your concerns. Now, the issue
in clarification on how somebody missed the other.
The issue of giving more money to NADS to address the challenges in Terego. NADS is not responsible for disease control. NADS was only has been an agency of government to do strategic intervention, especially in providing seed and planting materials. But you must be aware that we are rationalizing government agencies, and I think we shall be advise you how we can effectively deal with people in Terego. Honorable Koruo, the issue of desilting dams. Yes, government has been constructing dams in those areas. But what is also very important to note here is that some people, especially in parts of the country I don't want to mention, they don't want to keep these water facilities as their own. I went to commission a water facility near Moroto, and they brought all the cows and powered them in the dam. When they do it regularly, they desilt. I think it is very important that when government constructs an infrastructure for water, the community should really preserve that facility as theirs. So I will be in Moroto and in that part of Katakwi.
Moroto, Honorable.
Yes, but I will be in that. I will be in Eastern Uganda in the last week of November, and one of the challenges we want to address is that one. But we must also note that we sent their equipment to desilt some of those dams, and the locals chased the engineers.
Honorable Minister, can I find out who is responsible for construction of those dams? Is it the Ministry of Water or the Ministry of Agriculture?
Ministry of Agriculture is responsible for on-farm water. And what I'm talking is about on-farm water. The bulk water is for Ministry of Water. But many times there have been overlapping mandates because irrigation, water for livestock, water for aquaculture is a non-farm water and is done by Minister of Agriculture. Right,
Okay.
Honorable Speaker, I want again to thank you for your support. And I want also to say that the 25 billion that was appropriated for this activity, we did a very good job. Did a very good job. One of them was facilitate the veterinary professionals to do the vaccination. We also put in place for diagnostic centers. We have, it actually helped, although it was not adequate to cover even 50% of the national herd, but it helped. So finally, Right Honorable Speaker, I will come in a month's time to update the House on the progress made on the exercise we are going to start next week of vaccinating the affected areas.
I think Love has something to say.
Honorable, Honorable Minister, now that you have committed to come to Eastern Uganda on your way to Moroto and the Honorable's district, there is this quarantine that you imposed on districts of Bududa, Manafa, and Namisindwa to curb the spread of anthrax. The livestock farmers are act with the delayed intervention, even when the anthrax is no longer now ravaging the animals as it were much earlier. So I don't know when, you have not mentioned when you lift this quarantine in Bududa.
Right Honorable Speaker, the lifting of quarantine is actually dependent on the district. The veterinary officer of the district writes to us and give us a status report that they have recovered. And then we send inspectors and clear. The issue of anthrax is very dangerous because it is a zoonotic. It affects both human beings and the livestock. And it comes out because of spores. We recommend that the affected animals are really buried with soda ash. And I know we have been monitoring anthrax in your area. And when I come back next time, I will give you an account. Actually, I will call you and update you. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, but there are districts that reported the issue of foot and mouth, and you've not put them under quarantine.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I don't know that you are referring to which district, but there is no
my district.
Right, Honorable Speaker, there was late reporting of the district.
Well, in your opening statement, the districts that were reported, one of them, number 3, was actually Bukedea.
Yes.
I'm just reminding you that I come from Bukedea.
I know, Right Honorable
I'm
Speaker.
one of those people who have lost cows.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to be on record that I have detailed Dr. Admun Rose to address your concern.
Thank you.
And that I will follow up the developments in Bukedea. And I
Thank
also want to inform the House that Bukedea is one of the high risk areas because it is a trade route and an international actually trade area for livestock. So Bukedea, Wakiso, Jinja, these are high risk areas. We pay attention, Right Honorable Speaker.
Okay, thank you. Lastly,
Thank you, Honorable Right Honorable Minister. The issue, the strategy you have mentioned mainly rotates around treatment. It is solo on just let me give me the time. The market, which if we are supposed to work on cattle to support us in exports, it must be disease-free. The product must be disease-free. I would be happy to see your strategy, which allows situations where there are no diseases, but you don't treat. That's why you see other countries where one animal gets sick, they slaughter everything. So you need to look at a strategy which provides that, and one of them is developing feedlots, so that you do not have a challenge. You look at, you're near the Minister of Investment. Look at the investments which are there. Nothing can be used for export because of the challenges we are having. You cannot export to Europe, you cannot export to China, and yet China would be one of the best markets which we should be looking at. So change the strategy, in my opinion, in such a way that you develop disease-free products through feedlots. You are seated next to the PDM person. That could be the issues to support resources to support creating feedlots. So you are best, you have the investment and then PDM, it would help you move ahead. Thank you.
Honorable Goli Ogwal used to be the director of Export Promotion Board. And that's why he's talking about export. Now, I want to ask you, Honorable Goli, you know, we work for our country. You may know what I don't know. Can you get a concept paper and give it to the ministry to see on how much we can promote export of our cows? No, not at a fee. Can you develop? Give me a copy of that concept paper. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, PDM. We are very happy to see you. You're most welcome.
Right, Honorable, it's a pleasure. Really, Honorable Goli, if we can have, I'm just reflecting on what you said. How much can we do under PDM to strengthen veterinary services? I thought he raised a very important point, and I linked it to what Honorable Aisha said. The challenge, right, Honorable, is poor facilitation of the local government officials supposed to do that. Honorable Wanika, let's not think about re-centralization. It's not possible to take on control, quarantine, closure of markets, sensitization of the public. These cattle are everywhere. It is the local authorities which can help. But how many vet officers do we have at the sub-county? How many of them are facilitated in terms of transport? So we need to sit with the Honorable, because I was talking to my brother here, the Minister of Public Service. I said, you've heard that. We need vet assistants at sub-county. Then he said, that is the Minister of Finance. So we need to sit as government and address the issues the members of parliament are raising. I thank you, right, Honorable.
Now, PDM, now I've chosen you as a chairman of that meeting. Can you give us a feedback on what you will have agreed on in order to improve what is in the communities in terms of the local workers, the social workers, creating awareness of the diseases that are dangerous? So we need a feedback.
Right, Honorable Speaker, this is a problem of today. Cattle are dying. So we cannot talk of the next budget. I want to commit colleagues. Can we, the Prime Minister is here, in 2 weeks, can we get back to Parliament?
Thank you.
On what we need to strengthen this?
Thank you, thank you. Item 6.
Item 6,
Wanji?
laying of papers. Item 6.1.
But he's coming after 2 weeks. He's coming after 2 weeks. He'll give you information. Laying of papers.
Item 6.1.
Honorable Minister of Health, statutory instrument on regulation of Ebola in Uganda. Honorable members, as you recall, on Tuesday and Wednesday last week, the matter rose as a legality of the restrictions that are being imposed on areas that are currently under lock. And that is Masindi and, Mubende and Kasanda. And we asked the minister to come with the regulation, and now we are ready to receive the regulation and kindly lay it on table. And I will ask the Honorable Suman to verify it.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, and members, I'd like to lay on table the statutory instruments and also the gazette. But also bring up to speed this house that the instrument will now be overtaken by time. But on the weekend, the Minister of Health addressed the nation on behalf of the President of the Republic of Uganda and extended the days to 42 more days. And considering that the outbreak is ongoing, contact tracing is ongoing, the Attorney General has been given instructions to prepare rules which will extend the health measures in these affected areas. And I have been informed, Right Honorable Speaker, by the Attorney General that the regulation will be published tomorrow in the Uganda Gazette. I beg to lay.
That is the
one that has
extension?
been gazetted.
The extension?
The extension will be.
Published?
Yes, will be published
Okay.
tomorrow.
The
I beg
instrument is for information.
Yes, I beg
Next
to lay the
item.
statutory instruments and also the Gazette.
It's for information. Next item.
Item 6.2.
Commissioner.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the UNDP, United Nations Development Funded project entitled Building Resilient Communities, Wetland Ecosystems and Associated Catchments in Uganda, implemented by Ministry of Water Environment for the year that ended 31st December 2021. I beg to lay.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. The report is referred to Committee of Public Accounts. That is central. That is pursuant to Rule 1744 of the Rules of Procedure. And I urge the committee to take cognizance of Rule 1746, which is derived from Article 1635 of the Constitution, to present back the report after perusal within the 6-month period, or else it will be adopted as a report of the House as per the Nandala motion.
Item 6.3.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the report of the Auditor General on financial statements of the UNDP funded project for harnessing nature and digital technology to stimulate recovery and build a resilient tourism industry in Uganda. This is implemented by the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities for the year that ended 31st December 2021. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Commissioner. Referred to Committee of Park Central, pursuant to Rule 1744 of the Rules of Procedure.
Item 6.4.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the final audit report relating to audit of the Office of the Auditor General for the financial year 2020-2021. I beg to lay, Right Honorable Speaker.
Refer to Committee of Park Central pursuant to Rule 174.4 of the Rules of Procedure.
Item 6.5.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Muyembe Nakapripit Road project for the year that ended 30th June 2021. I beg to lay.
The report is referred to the Committee of Park Kosase, and that is under Rule 181.4 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament of Uganda.
Item 6.6.
Right Honorable Speaker, lastly, I beg to lay the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements for enhancing management of surface and groundwater resources in selected transboundary aquifers project implemented by the Nile Basin Initiative for the 6-month period from 1st July 2020, 31st December 2021. I beg to lay, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Commissioner. The report is referred to the Committee of Park Central, and that is pursuant to Rule 174.4 of the Rules of Procedure. And as I communicated last week, it's not healthy for us to sit for too long. And we agreed we should always finish the session at 5:30, official time for civil servants. But now we have even gone beyond the time. Now it is that now therefore makes me adjourn the house to 2 tomorrow.